I'm about to lose everything I've built. Again. Noah Bennett stood in the rain, hands covered in engine grease, staring at the broken down Mercedes on the highway shoulder. He had no idea the woman standing there would destroy every wall he'd spent 8 years building. No idea that fixing her car would crack open wounds he'd buried deep. And absolutely no idea that in 3 months he'd be faced with an impossible choice: protect his daughter from another abandonment or risk everything on a billionaire who could leave them both shattered. If you want to see how a single act of kindness can completely wreck your life, stay until the end. Drop a like, comment what city you're watching from, and let's see how far this story travels. The fluorescent lights in Noah's auto repair flickered twice before staying dark. Perfect, Noah muttered, wiping grease from his hands onto a rag that had seen better days, probably 5 years ago. The power company had sent 3 warnings. He'd ignored all of them, prioritizing Mia's school field trip fee instead. $65 to visit some historical museum 2 hours away. $65 that meant choosing between electricity and his daughter's chance to not be the only kid who couldn't afford to go. It wasn't even a choice, really. He flipped the main breaker, and the lights sputtered back to life with a sound like a dying animal. The entire electrical system in this place needed replacing, but so did the roof, the hydraulic lift, and Noah's truck, which currently made a noise that suggested its transmission was planning a funeral. "Hey boss, I'm heading out." Marcus, his only employee, appeared in the doorway, still wearing his stained coveralls. 22 years old and already better with fuel injection systems than Noah would ever be. "You need anything before I go?" "Nah, I'm good. See you Monday." "You sure? 'Cause you've been under that Civic for like 4 hours, and it's almost 8. Noah glanced at his watch, a Timex his father had given him before the cancer took him. 8:17 p.m. Shit. Hot date? Marcus grinned. Something like that. "You? A date?" Marcus laughed, but it wasn't mean. "Man, when's the last time you went on a date? Was Mia even born yet? Get out of my shop. I'm going. Marcus grabbed his jacket from the hook. "Good luck, man. Try not to talk about torque specifications the whole time." The Civic's owner had called it a weird noise. Turned out the weird noise was a cracked motor mount that had been slowly destroying the engine for months. Noah had quoted him $400 for the repair. The guy had complained, said he could get it done cheaper somewhere else. Noah had wanted to say, then go somewhere else, but he'd said, "I'll do it for $320 instead, because $320 paid for groceries. He finished tightening the last bolt at 8:43 p.m., tested the engine, and listened to it purr like it was brand new. There was something honest about mechanical work. You fixed what was broken, and it either worked or it didn't. No gray area. No wondering if you'd done enough. His phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer, his ex-wife's sister, who'd been watching Mia. "She's fine. Ate dinner. Did homework. Don't rush." Then another text immediately after. "Actually, good luck tonight. You deserve this." Noah stared at that second message longer than he should have. You deserve this. Like he was some charity case. Like going on a blind date at 32 was some kind of achievement unlocked after years of hermit mode. The date wasn't even his idea. Jennifer had set the whole thing up, insisting he needed to get back out there, and that he'd been emotionally isolated for too long. She'd used those exact words, emotionally isolated, like she'd read them in a self-help book. He locked up the shop, ignoring the broken sign out front that read, Noah's Auto Re-Yar, because the PA had fallen off last winter. Another thing on the infinite list of repairs he couldn't afford. The restaurant was downtown, 30 minutes away if traffic cooperated. Noah's truck, a 2003 F-150 with rust eating through the wheel wells, coughed to life after 3 attempts. The check engine light glowed helpfully on the dashboard, a permanent fixture he'd stopped noticing years ago. He merged onto the highway doing 60 in the right lane, watching newer, shinier vehicles blow past him. The rain had started 20 minutes ago, light at first, then gradually building into the kind of November storm that made you question whether the weather had personal grudges. His phone rang through the truck's ancient speakers. Jennifer, again. "Hey, you on your way?" she asked. "Yeah, should be there by 9:30. "Noah, the reservation's at 9. "I know. I got stuck with a repair." "You're always stuck with a repair." Her voice carried that specific tone of exasperation that came from caring about someone while simultaneously wanting to shake them. This woman's doing you a favor showing up. Don't blow it by being late. I'm not going to blow it. You're already blowing it. You're 45 minutes late. 30 minutes, depending on traffic. There's a storm, Noah. There's always traffic in a storm. She paused. Did you at least change clothes? Noah looked down at his work pants, still stained with oil and God knows what else. I've got a clean shirt in the truck. Oh my God. What? I've got a clean shirt. That's prepared. Noah Bennett, you're not showing up to dinner at the Sterling looking like you just crawled out from under a car. I did just crawl out from under a car. That's literally what I do. There's a difference between being honest and being self-sabotaging. Jennifer's voice softened slightly. Look, I know you're nervous. I know you haven't done this in forever, but she seems really nice. And she specifically said she didn't care about what? Me being broke? Me having a kid? Me being a 32-year-old mechanic with a failing business? I was going to say she doesn't care about conventional stuff. She wanted someone real. Well, she's going to get real, all right. Real late and real underdressed. Just try, okay? For yourself. The line went quiet except for the sound of rain hammering his windshield. I'm trying, Noah said finally. I know you are. He ended the call and focused on driving, watching the road blur through streaks of water his wipers couldn't quite handle. The left wiper needed replacing. Add it to the list. The highway stretched empty ahead of him, most people already home where they belonged. Noah had always liked driving in the rain. Something about the isolation, the feeling that the world had narrowed to just the road and the sound of water and the glow of his headlights cutting through darkness. Then he saw the car. A Mercedes S-Class, silver, pulled halfway onto the shoulder with its hazard lights blinking uselessly into the storm. Even from a distance, Noah could tell it was expensive, the kind of car that cost more than he'd made in the last 3 years combined. Someone stood next to it, barely visible in the rain. Noah's first instinct was to keep driving. He was already late, already dreading this date, already convinced the whole thing was a mistake Jennifer had orchestrated out of pity. But his truck slowed anyway, muscle memory from a lifetime of stopping to help. He pulled onto the shoulder behind the Mercedes and grabbed a flashlight from behind the seat. The rain immediately soaked through his clean shirt the moment he stepped out. The person standing by the car was a woman, mid-30s maybe, wearing what had probably been an expensive business suit before the rain destroyed it. Her dark hair clung to her face, and she held her phone like it had personally betrayed her. "Need help?" Noah called over the rain. She turned, and even in the terrible lighting and worse weather, Noah registered two things. She was beautiful in that polished, untouchable way that existed in magazines and movies, and she looked absolutely miserable. "It just died," she said, "right in the middle of the highway. No warning, nothing, just dead." Noah approached the Mercedes, already mentally running through possibilities. "You got it to the shoulder okay?" "Barely. I thought I was going to get hit 6 times. "Pop the hood." She stared at him. "Seriously?" "Yeah, seriously. I'm a mechanic." "In the middle of a storm? You're just a mechanic who happens to be driving by?" "Would you prefer I wasn't?" She hit something inside the car and the hood released with a soft click. Noah lifted it and aimed his flashlight into the engine compartment. Pristine. Too pristine. This engine had probably never seen a speck of dirt in its life, serviced at some dealership where they charged $300 just to look at it. "You got fuel?" he asked. "3/4 of a tank." "Check engine light come on?" "No." Everything was fine, then it just stopped. Noah traced wiring with his flashlight, looking for obvious disconnections. The rain made everything harder, water running into his eyes and down his neck. His phone buzzed in his pocket, probably Jennifer wondering where he was. "Could be the fuel pump," he said, "or a sensor, or—" He stopped, noticing something. "When's the last time this was serviced?" "I don't know. My assistant handles that." "Your assistant?" "Yes." Noah almost laughed. Of course her assistant handled it. People like her didn't think about oil changes or tire rotations or any of the 1,000 small things that kept a car running. He found the problem faster than he expected. A loose battery terminal, corroded just enough to break the connection. Simple. Almost embarrassingly simple. "I need to get under the car for a second," he said. "Under the car? In this?" Noah was already lowering himself onto the wet pavement, ignoring the way cold water immediately soaked through his jeans. He slid beneath the Mercedes, flashlight between his teeth, and reached up to check the connections. "What are you doing down there?" Her voice came from above, muffled by rain and metal. "Fixing your car," he said around the flashlight. 5 minutes of work. That's all it took. Tighten the terminal, check the ground connection, make sure nothing else had shaken loose. He slid back out looking like he'd gone swimming in motor oil and rainwater. "Try it now," he said. She got in the driver's seat, turned the key, and the Mercedes purred to life like nothing had happened. "Oh my God," she said. "It works! How did you—" "Loose battery connection. Happens sometimes." She stepped out of the car, staring at him like he'd performed surgery instead of basic maintenance. "I don't know what to say. Thank you. I mean, really, thank you so much. Don't worry about it. At least let me pay you. What do I owe you?" Noah almost said $50, because that's what he would have charged at the shop for 5 minutes of work. But something stopped him. Maybe the way she was looking at him, maybe the absurdity of the whole situation, maybe just exhaustion. "Nothing," he said. "Just be careful in this weather." "Nothing? You're soaking wet. You fixed my car in the middle of a storm, and you want nothing?" "Consider it a public service." She laughed, actually laughed, and the sound was unexpected enough that Noah found himself almost smiling. "Well, at least tell me your name," she said. "Noah. Noah Bennett." The woman went very still. "Noah Bennett?" "Yeah, why?" You're kidding. You have to be kidding." "Do I look like I'm kidding?" She pressed her hand to her mouth, and Noah couldn't tell if she was laughing or having some kind of breakdown. "Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm Evelyn Sinclair." The name meant nothing to him. Should it have? "Okay," he said slowly. "I'm your blind date, Noah. I'm the person you're supposed to be meeting at the Sterling in—" She checked her watch. 22 minutes. The rain kept falling. The highway stayed empty. And Noah Bennett, standing there soaked to the bone and covered in grease, finally understood that the universe had a sense of humor, and it was targeting him specifically. "You're joking," he said. "I'm not joking. Jennifer set this up, didn't she? This is some kind of elaborate— I was on my way to the restaurant when my car died. You pulled over to help." Evelyn was grinning now, wide and genuine. "What are the odds?" Noah wanted to say something clever, something charming, something that would make this absurd situation feel less like a cosmic prank. Instead, he said, "I'm really late. We're both late now. And I look like I fell into an oil pit. You look like you just fixed a car in a rainstorm, which is exactly what you did." She tilted her head, studying him. "You know what? Forget the Sterling. I know a place. You know a place. Better food, less pretentious, and they won't judge you for looking like a drowned mechanic. That's a low bar. I'm serious. Follow me." She started getting back into the Mercedes, then paused. "Unless you want to stick with the original plan, we can still make the reservation if we hurry." Noah thought about the Sterling, with its white tablecloths and wine lists and people who pronounced valet the French way. Thought about sitting there in his stained work clothes while everyone stared. "Lead the way," he said. 20 minutes later, they sat across from each other in a diner called Tommy's that looked like it had been decorated in 1987 and never updated. Red vinyl booths, checkered floors, a jukebox in the corner playing songs nobody had requested. Noah had tried to clean up in the truck, but there was only so much he could do with fast food napkins and a bottle of water. He still looked exactly like what he was, a mechanic who'd spent the evening working. Evelyn, meanwhile, had somehow transformed from drowned businesswoman to something almost casual. She'd pulled her hair into a ponytail and ditched the suit jacket, sitting there in just a black blouse that still looked expensive but less aggressively formal. A waitress appeared, mid-60s, name tag reading Deb, expression suggesting she'd seen everything twice. "What can I get you kids?" she asked. "Coffee," Noah said, "and a burger. Whatever's good." "Everything's good, honey. That's why we're still here." Deb turned to Evelyn. "And you?" "The same, actually. Burger and coffee." Deb's eyebrow lifted slightly, probably not used to women who looked like Evelyn ordering burgers at diners, but she just wrote it down and left. Silence settled over the table. Not comfortable silence. The kind of silence where both people were thinking too hard about what to say next. So, Evelyn said finally, Jennifer's your ex-wife's sister? Yeah, that's not weird. It's extremely weird, but she's the only family I've got left on that side, and Mia loves her, so... Noah shrugged. We make it work. Mia's your daughter? 8 years old, obsessed with anything mechanical. Wants to be an engineer when she grows up, which terrifies me because I can barely help her with math homework. Evelyn smiled. Jennifer mentioned you were a single dad. She mentioned anything else? That you're terrible at talking about yourself, that you work too much, and that you haven't been on a date since the Bush administration. Which Bush? She laughed, actually laughed, loud enough that the couple 3 booths over looked up from their pancakes. I like you, Evelyn said. You're not what I expected. Yeah, well, I don't usually meet people for the first time by fixing their cars in a rainstorm, so we're both getting the weird version of this. The weird version is better. I've been on 17 first dates this year, Noah. 17. Do you know how exhausting that is? 17? Why? Because I'm 30 years old, successful, and apparently my biological clock is supposed to be screaming at me to settle down with some finance bro who thinks cryptocurrency is a personality trait. Noah had no idea what to say to that. Sorry, Evelyn continued. That was too much too fast. I'm so tired of pretending to be interested in conversations about market volatility and which watch brands have better resale value. I don't know anything about watches, Noah admitted. Mine costs $23 and it's older than my daughter. See? That's refreshing. You're refreshing. Deb returned with coffee and 2 plates that could have fed small armies. The burgers were massive, grease already soaking into the buns, accompanied by fries that smelled like pure nostalgia. You kids need anything else? Deb asked. This is perfect, Evelyn said. Thank you. They ate in a silence that felt slightly more comfortable now, the kind of quiet that came from hunger and exhaustion instead of awkwardness. Can I ask you something? Evelyn said after a few minutes. Sure. Why'd you stop? On the highway. You were clearly in a hurry, clearly not dressed for crawling around in the rain. Why stop? Noah considered the question while chewing a fry. I don't know. Habit, I guess. My dad was a mechanic too. He used to say that helping people wasn't about whether you had time or whether it was convenient. It was just what you did. That's nice. It's impractical. He died with $47 in his bank account because he spent his whole life helping people who couldn't afford to pay him. But you do it anyway? Yeah, I do it anyway. Noah took a sip of coffee. What about you? What's your story? Jennifer said you run some kind of business? Evelyn's expression shifted like she was deciding how much to share. I own several businesses, actually. Started my first company at 23, a financial consulting firm. Sold it 3 years later, started another one, then another. Now I mostly invest in tech startups and real estate. So you're rich. I'm very rich. The honesty surprised him. Most people would have deflected, made some humble comment about being comfortable or doing okay. Does that bother you? She asked. Why would it bother me? Because most men get weird about it. Either they're intimidated or they start seeing dollar signs, or they go into some weird competitive mode where they need to prove they're just as successful. I'm a mechanic who can barely keep his shop open. There's no competing with that. And that doesn't bother you. That I make in a month what you probably make in 5 years? Noah set down his burger, meeting her eyes. Should it? I don't know, does it? Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend money doesn't matter. It does. I've got a daughter to raise and a business that's drowning and about 6 different creditors who'd love to have a conversation with me. But your money isn't my business unless you're planning to loan me some, which, he grinned slightly, I'm not asking for, just to be clear. Evelyn studied him for a long moment. You're really not like anyone I've ever met. I'll take that as a compliment. It is. Definitely a compliment. They kept talking. The conversation flowed easier now, moving from childhood stories to favorite movies to whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Noah said no, Evelyn said yes. They agreed to disagree. Somewhere around 11 p.m., the diner started emptying out. Deb refilled their coffee without asking and left the check face down on the table. Noah reached for it, but Evelyn was faster. I've got this, she said. No way. Noah, I'm not kidding. I've got it. I asked you out. Well, Jennifer asked you out on my behalf, but still, You fixed my car in a rainstorm and got soaked doing it. The least I can do is buy you a burger. It was a loose battery terminal. That's nothing. It wasn't nothing to me. Evelyn placed a $50 bill on the check without even looking at the total. Please, let me do this. Noah wanted to argue. Every instinct in him screamed that he should pay, that accepting her money made him look weak or desperate or somehow less than. But she was looking at him with an expression that wasn't pity, just kindness. Okay, he said. Thank you. They walked out into a parking lot still wet from the storm. The rain had stopped, but the air smelled like it might start again any moment.
This was fun, Evelyn said. Genuinely fun. I haven't had this much fun on a date in, I can't even remember. Yeah, it was good. Noah paused, hands in his pockets. So, do you want to... His phone rang, Jennifer's name on the screen. Sorry, he answered. Hey, what's up? Noah, Mia's really sick. Jennifer's voice was tight with worry. She spiked a fever out of nowhere. I gave her children's Tylenol, but she's at 102.3, and I don't know if I should...
I'm coming home right now. I'm 20 minutes away. I'm sorry I know you were on your date. Don't apologize, I'm coming. He hung up and looked at Evelyn. I have to go. My daughter's sick and... Go, she said immediately. Of course, go. I'm sorry. This was really nice, and I wish... Noah, go. We can talk tomorrow. He nodded, already moving toward his truck. Then he stopped and turned back. Hey, Evelyn? Yeah? Can I get your number in case tomorrow actually happens? She smiled and pulled out her phone. They exchanged numbers quickly, Noah's fingers clumsy on the screen. Drive safe, she said. You too. He drove home doing 75 in a 65 zone, hands tight on the wheel, thinking about Mia's fever and whether he should take her to the ER and how much that would cost, and whether he'd finally have to ask Jennifer for money. But somewhere in the back of his mind, underneath all the worry, was the memory of Evelyn laughing at his jokes in a diner that smelled like grease and coffee. Take. The house was a small rental on the east side, 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and a kitchen where the cabinets didn't quite close right. Noah had lived there for 6 years, paying $8.50 a month to a landlord who fixed nothing and complained about everything. Jennifer met him at the door, still dressed in her work scrubs. How is she? Noah asked. The fever came down a little. She's at 101.2 now, but she's been crying, says her throat hurts. Noah headed straight to Mia's bedroom, a small space decorated with posters of race cars and a periodic table she'd insisted on hanging herself. Mia lay curled under her blankets, face flushed, eyes glassy. Hey, sweetheart, Noah said softly, sitting on the edge of her bed. Dad, her voice came out rough and small. My throat hurts really bad. He pressed his hand to her forehead, still too warm. I know, baby, I know. Are you going to take me to the doctor? The question hit him harder than it should have, because the answer was complicated. The answer involved insurance copays and emergency room bills, and choosing between his daughter's health and next month's rent. Let's see how you feel in the morning, okay? If you're not better, we'll go. Promise? Promise. He stayed with her, reading from a book about astronauts until she fell asleep mid-chapter. Then he sat there longer, watching her breathe, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility that never quite left his shoulders. Jennifer appeared in the doorway. She okay? Yeah, sleeping. You want some coffee? They sat at the kitchen table, both exhausted for different reasons. So, Jennifer said carefully, how was the date? Weird? Good weird. We met before the date actually started, and it's a long story. I've got time. So he told her about the Mercedes breaking down, about realizing who Evelyn was, about the diner and the conversation and how easy it had felt. Noah, that's amazing, Jennifer said when he finished. Is it? Yes. You met someone. You had a good time. That's allowed, you know. Yeah, well, we'll see. She's probably going to realize tomorrow that dating a broke single dad who lives in a rental that's falling apart isn't exactly the fairy tale she's looking for. Or maybe she realizes you're exactly what she's looking for. Jennifer reached across the table and squeezed his hand. You deserve to be happy, Noah. You know that, right? He didn't answer, because the truth was, he didn't know that.
Hadn't known it for years.
After Jennifer left, Noah checked on Mia one more time, then collapsed on the couch without bothering to change out of his still damp clothes. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Evelyn. Just wanted to make sure your daughter's okay." Noah stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back. "She's sleeping. Fever's down a little. Thanks for asking." 3 dots appeared immediately. "Good. Get some rest." "And Noah?" "Yeah. Tonight was the best first date I've had in years. Maybe ever. Just wanted you to know that." He read the message 3 times. Something warm and unfamiliar spreading through his chest. Yeah. Me too. He set the phone down, closed his eyes, and let himself imagine, just for a moment, that maybe Jennifer was right. Maybe he did deserve to be happy. Outside, the rain started again, soft and steady against the windows. And Noah Bennett, 32 years old and barely holding everything together, allowed himself to hope. End of part 1. Noah woke up on the couch at 6:47 a.m. with a crick in his neck and Mia standing 2 feet away, staring at him. "You slept in your work clothes," she said. "Yeah, I did." He sat up, joints protesting. "How you feeling, kiddo?" "Better. My throat still hurts, but not as bad." She tilted her head, studying him with those sharp brown eyes that missed nothing. "You look terrible." "Thanks. Very helpful. I'm just being honest. Aunt Jennifer says honesty is important." "Aunt Jennifer says a lot of things." Noah reached out and felt Mia's forehead. Still warm, but not burning like last night. "You want pancakes?" "Can we afford pancakes?" The question stopped him cold. She was 8 years old and already thinking about money, already watching him count change at the grocery store and put items back when the total climbed too high. "Yeah, baby, we can afford pancakes." They ate breakfast together at the small kitchen table, Mia drowning her stack in enough syrup to constitute a health violation. She told him about a science project on volcanoes, about how her friend Emma had a new bike, about how Mr. Peterson, the music teacher, had the worst breath in human history. Normal kid stuff. The kind of stuff that made Noah forget, momentarily, about past due utility bills and the conversation he'd eventually need to have with his landlord.
"So, where were you last night?" Mia asked between bites. "I had dinner with someone." "Like a date?" "Yeah, like a date." "Was she nice?" Noah thought about Evelyn laughing in that diner, about the way she'd insisted on paying without making him feel small about it. "Yeah, she was nice." "Are you going to see her again?" "I don't know, maybe." "You should. You're always alone except for me, and that's kind of sad." "Hey, I like being alone with you." "I know, but still." Mia pushed syrup around her plate, suddenly serious. "Mom left because she thought you weren't good enough, right?" Noah's chest tightened. They'd had versions of this conversation before, but it never got easier. "It's more complicated than that." "No, it's not. She told me once, before she left. She said you'd never be anything more than a broke mechanic, and she deserved better." "Mia? I think you're good enough," she said quietly. "I think you're the best." He reached across the table and squeezed her hand, not trusting himself to speak. His phone buzzed. A text from Evelyn. "Morning. How's your daughter?" Noah typed back. "Much better. Thanks for asking." "Good. I'm glad. So, this might be forward, but are you free this afternoon? There's a coffee place near you that's supposed to be amazing." He stared at the message. Afternoon. Today. Not next week or sometime soon or any of the vague promises people made when they were being polite. "Who is it?" Mia asked. "The woman from last night." "What's she want?" "To get coffee." "Then say yes, dummy." Language. "Sorry, say yes, please." Noah typed, "Yeah." "What time? 2 o'clock? I'll send you the address. Sounds good." He set the phone down and found Mia grinning at him. "What?" he asked. "You like her." "I barely know her." "But you like her, I can tell." "Eat your pancakes. What a seat." The coffee place was called Grounds and Sounds, one of those aggressively hip establishments with exposed brick and vintage furniture and a chalkboard menu that required a degree to decipher. Noah walked in at 1:58 p.m. wearing the least damaged jeans he owned and a flannel shirt that had only 2 small grease stains.
both near the hem where you'd really have to look to notice. Evelyn was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups in front of her. She'd dressed down, jeans, a cream sweater, hair loose around her shoulders, but she still looked like she'd walked out of some catalog Noah couldn't afford to buy. "Hey," he said, sliding into the chair across from her. "Hey yourself. I ordered you a coffee. Black, right? You seemed like a black coffee person." "Good guess." "I'm good at reading people. Occupational hazard." They sat there for a moment, both smiling slightly, neither quite sure how to start. "So," Evelyn said finally, "your daughter's really okay?" "Yeah, strep throat, probably. I'll take her to the clinic Monday if she's not better, but I think she just needs rest." "That must have been scary, getting that call." "It's always scary. Every time she gets sick, every time she's out of my sight for too long, every time she's too quiet." Noah stopped himself. "Sorry, you didn't ask for the anxious dad monologue." "No, I want to hear it. I don't know anything about kids. My friends are all either childless by choice or so busy with their careers they barely see their own children." "You don't want kids?" Evelyn wrapped both hands around her cup. "I used to think I didn't have time for them. Now I'm starting to wonder if I was just scared." "Scared of what?" "Failing at it. I'm good at business, good at making money, good at identifying market trends and investment opportunities. But being responsible for another person's entire life?" She shook her head. "That's terrifying." "It is terrifying," Noah agreed, "every single day. But it's also the only thing I've ever done that actually matters." "Your ex-wife didn't see it that way?" The question was gentle, but Noah felt it land anyway. She saw a struggling mechanic who worked too much and made too little. She wanted someone with ambition, someone who was going somewhere. "I was just stuck." "Are you stuck?" "Yeah, probably." "That's honest." "I'm too tired to be anything else." Evelyn smiled. "I like that about you. Everyone I meet is performing all the time, playing some character they think will impress me. You just are." "Well, I'm too broke to perform. Can't afford the production value." She laughed, that same genuine sound from last night. A couple at the next table glanced over, then quickly looked away when Evelyn caught them staring. "Does that happen a lot?" Noah asked. "What?" "People recognizing you." "Sometimes. Usually in business contexts. Less often in coffee shops." She took a sip of her latte. "Does it bother you?" "Why would it bother me?" "Because dating someone with a public profile is complicated. People take pictures, make assumptions, turn your life into gossip." "We've been on 1.5 dates. I think we're safe from the paparazzi." "For now." They talked for an hour, the conversation flowing easier than it had any right to. Evelyn told him about starting her first business with $12,000 she'd saved working 3 jobs through college. About the first time someone had called her boss and how surreal it felt. About the loneliness that came with success, the way people either wanted something from you or resented you for having it. Noah told her about his dad, about learning to rebuild carburetors at 10 years old, about the heart attack that killed him at 53, about meeting his ex-wife at 22 and thinking he'd found someone who understood him, only to realize 5 years later that they'd been speaking different languages the whole time. When she left, she took most of the furniture, Noah said. Not because she wanted it, but because she knew it would hurt me. Left me with a couch, a TV that didn't work, and full custody of Mia. That's cruel. Yeah, but also honest in a way. At least I knew where I stood. Do you still love her? The question surprised him. No, I don't think I ever really did, actually. I think I loved the idea of not being alone. Evelyn nodded slowly, like she understood something she hadn't said out loud. Noah's phone rang. Marcus's name on the screen. Sorry, I should take this, Noah said. It's my shop. Go ahead, he answered. What's up? Boss, we got a problem. Marcus sounded stressed. That Civic you fixed yesterday? Owner came by to pick it up and says it's making the same noise again. That's impossible. I replaced the motor mount. I know, man, but he's here and he's pissed and he's saying he wants his money back and threatening to leave bad reviews and I'll be there in 20 minutes. Noah hung up and looked at Evelyn. I'm sorry, I have to... Work emergency? Yeah, customer claiming I didn't fix something I definitely fixed. Can I come with you? He blinked. What? To your shop. Can I come? I've never actually seen you work and I'm curious. It's not glamorous. It's literally just me arguing with an angry customer about a motor mount.
Still more interesting than my afternoon plans, which involved reviewing quarterly reports. You sure?
Positive.
Tag.
They took separate cars, Noah leading the way in his truck, while Evelyn followed in the Mercedes. The whole drive, he tried to figure out why she'd want to visit his failing garage in the middle of a Saturday. The shop looked even worse in daylight. The broken sign, the cracked parking lot, the bay door that stuck every time you tried to open it. Noah had stopped seeing these flaws years ago, but seeing them through Evelyn's eyes made him acutely aware of every failure. Marcus stood outside with a middle-aged man in a polo shirt who was red-faced and gesturing wildly at his Civic. "There he is," Polo Shirt said when Noah got out of the truck. "You want to explain why I'm still hearing the same goddamn noise you supposedly fixed? Mr. Patterson, I replaced the motor mount exactly like, I don't care what you replaced. I paid you $320 and the problem isn't fixed." Evelyn had parked and was walking over, drawing immediate attention from both Marcus and Patterson. "Who's this?" Patterson asked. "A friend," Noah said shortly. "Let me hear the noise." Patterson got in the Civic and started it up, revving the engine aggressively. There was a noise, metallic, rhythmic, but it wasn't the same sound from yesterday. Noah popped the hood and listened carefully, tracking the source. Not the motor mount. Something else. "Mr. Patterson, this is a different problem," Noah said. "Bullshit. I'm serious. The motor mount I replaced is fine. This is a heat shield that's come loose. Completely separate issue." "So you're saying my car has two problems now?" "I'm saying your car always had two problems, but you only mentioned the first one." "Are you calling me a liar?" "I'm calling your heat shield loose." The situation was deteriorating fast. Patterson's face had gone from red to purple, and he was reaching for his phone, probably to leave the one-star review he'd been threatening. Then Evelyn stepped forward. "Excuse me," she said, her voice carrying the kind of calm authority that made everyone stop talking. "I couldn't help but overhear. You're upset because you paid for a repair and the car's still making noise?" "That's right," Patterson said, slightly deflated by her sudden appearance and obvious confidence. "And he's telling you it's a different issue?" "So he says." "Then let him fix it, right now, for free. And if you're still not satisfied, I'll personally refund your original payment and cover the cost of taking it to another mechanic." Patterson stared at her. Marcus stared at her. Noah stared at her. "Who are you?" Patterson asked. "Someone who knows integrity when she sees it." Evelyn smiled, the kind of smile that wasn't actually friendly. "This man pulled over in a rainstorm last night to fix my car when he was already late for an appointment. He didn't charge me, didn't ask for anything, just helped because that's who he is. So I'm absolutely certain he did the work you paid for, and I'm absolutely certain he'll fix this new issue right now to prove it." The silence stretched for several seconds. "Fine," Patterson said finally. "But I'm watching." Noah looked at Evelyn, trying to communicate about 17 different emotions simultaneously. She just nodded slightly, like this was completely normal. He grabbed his tools and got to work on the heat shield, aware that everyone was watching. The fix took 10 minutes, just tightening a few bolts that had vibrated loose. He started the car, revved the engine. Silence. "How's that?" Noah asked. Patterson listened, his expression grudgingly shifting from angry to merely suspicious. "Better." "Good. No charge for the heat shield. Original work stands." Fine. Whatever." Patterson got in his car and drove off without another word. Marcus let out a long breath. "Dude, what just happened?" "I have no idea," Noah admitted. Evelyn was already walking back toward her Mercedes, pulling out her phone like the whole confrontation had been a minor interruption. Noah caught up to her. "Hey, what was that?" "What was what?" "You just threatened to pay that guy's repair costs. That could have been hundreds of dollars." "Could have been. Wasn't. You fixed it for free." "But you didn't know I'd fix it for free." She looked up from her phone, meeting his eyes. "Yeah, I did. Because you're not the kind of person who'd let someone leave unsatisfied, even when they're being unreasonable. I was just gambling on what I already knew."
"You don't know me that well." "Don't I?" She stepped closer, voice dropping slightly. "You stop to help strangers in rainstorms. You raise your daughter alone and worry about pancake budgets. You fix problems for free because arguing would waste time. I know enough." Noah didn't know what to say to that. I should go, Evelyn continued. I actually do have those quarterly reports to review, but Noah? Yeah?
Thank you for letting me come. I meant what I said. This was more interesting than my afternoon plans. She drove away, leaving Noah standing in his cracked parking lot, trying to figure out what the hell was happening to his life. Marcus appeared at his shoulder. Boss, who was that? Someone I'm trying really hard not to screw up with. Well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Because that woman just shut down an angry customer like it was nothing, and I've been trying to do that for 2 years. That night, after Mia had gone to bed, Noah sat at his kitchen table with a calculator and a stack of bills, trying to make the math work. It didn't. It never did. Rent, $850. Utilities, $143. Groceries, $280. Mia's school expenses, $95. Truck payment, $210. Insurance, $167. Credit card minimums, $180. Income from the shop this month, $1,847. The gap between what he made and what he owed kept growing, and Noah was running out of creative solutions. He'd already sold his dad's old tools, already picked up weekend work doing oil changes at the quick lube place on 7th, already cut every corner he could find. His phone buzzed. Evelyn. Hey. Random question. Does Mia like pizza? Noah typed back. She'd marry pizza if it were legal. Why? There's this place I've been wanting to try, but going alone seems sad. Thought maybe you two would want to join me tomorrow? He stared at the message, then at the bills spread across the table. Tomorrow was Sunday, his one day off. The day he usually spent doing laundry and cleaning the house and fixing whatever had broken during the week. Taking Mia out for pizza meant spending money he didn't have on food they didn't need. But it also meant seeing Evelyn again. Meant Mia meeting the woman who'd been occupying way too much of his mental space. Meant allowing himself something that felt good instead of necessary. What time? He typed. Noon? I'll text you the address. We'll be there. He set the phone down and went back to the bills, moving money around like a shell game, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and hoping neither of them noticed. The pizza place was called Antonio's, located in a part of town Noah rarely visited because everything there cost 3 times what it should. When they walked in, Mia practically bouncing with excitement, Noah spotted Evelyn immediately. She was sitting in a corner booth wearing jeans and a simple black t-shirt, looking somehow both casual and expensive. When she saw them, her whole face lit up. You must be Mia, Evelyn said as they approached. Mia stared at her with unfiltered curiosity. You're really pretty. Thank you. You're really honest. Dad says that's a good thing. It is. Come sit. They slid into the booth, Mia next to Evelyn, Noah across from them both. A waiter appeared almost immediately, rattling off specials that all sounded Italian and complicated. Can we just get a large pepperoni? Noah asked. And breadsticks, Mia added. And breadsticks. Actually, Evelyn said, let's get 2 large pizzas. 1 pepperoni, 1 with whatever the house specialty is. And yes to breadsticks. After the waiter left, Mia launched into an interrogation that would have made detective agencies jealous. So are you Dad's girlfriend? She asked. Mia, Noah said. What? I'm just asking. Evelyn smiled. We're friends right now, getting to know each other. But you want to be his girlfriend? Mia, I think your dad is pretty great. Yeah, Evelyn said, not breaking eye contact with the 8-year-old who was studying her like a specimen under a microscope. He's great, but he works too much and worries too much and sometimes forgets to eat lunch. Those are good things to know. And he had a wife before, but she left because she was mean and selfish. Okay, new topic, Noah interjected. How about school? How's school going? But Mia wasn't done. Do you have kids? I don't, Evelyn said. Why not? Mia, that's personal. It's okay, Evelyn interrupted. I don't have kids because I spent my 20s building businesses instead of relationships, and now I'm 30 and wondering if I made the right choice. The honesty seemed to satisfy Mia. You can always adopt. My friend Stephanie was adopted, and she says it's the same as being born into a family. That's a nice way of thinking about it. The pizza arrived, and for a while they just ate and talked about normal things. Mia described her volcano project in excruciating detail. Evelyn asked questions that suggested she was genuinely interested, not just being polite. Noah watched them interact and felt something shift in his chest, something that felt dangerous and wonderful at the same time. "Can I ask you something?" Mia said to Evelyn, mouth full of breadstick. "Sure. How much money do you make?" "Mia!" "What? You always say honesty is important." Evelyn laughed. "That's a complicated question. Different amounts from different businesses. Why do you ask?" "Because Dad's always stressed about money, like all the time. And I thought maybe if you're rich, you could help him." The table went quiet. Noah wanted the floor to open up and swallow him whole. "Sweetheart," he said carefully, "that's not how it works." "Why not? If she has money and we need money." "Because people don't just give other people money. And I don't want—" He stopped, trying to find words that wouldn't hurt her. "I take care of us. That's my job. But what if you can't?" Mia's voice had gone small. "What if the shop closes and we have to move and— Hey!" Noah reached across the table and took her hand. "That's not going to happen. I promise." "You can't promise that." She was right. He couldn't, and they both knew it. Evelyn had been quiet through this exchange, but now she spoke. "Mia, your dad is one of the hardest working people I've ever met. And trust me, I've met a lot of people. He's going to figure it out because that's what he does. But what if— No what ifs. Right now, we're eating pizza and having a good time. Deal?" Mia nodded slowly, but Noah could see the worry still creasing her forehead. They finished lunch with forced cheerfulness, everyone trying too hard to pretend that conversation hadn't happened. When the check came, Evelyn grabbed it before Noah could even reach. "My treat," she said. "I invited you, remember?" "Evelyn, Noah, let me do this." He wanted to argue, wanted to insist on paying his share, on proving he could provide, on being something other than the broke mechanic who needed rescuing. But Mia was watching, and fighting over the check would just make things worse. "Thank you," he said quietly. Outside the restaurant, Mia ran ahead to look at a dog tied up near the entrance. "I'm sorry about that," Noah said. "The money questions, she shouldn't have— She's worried about you. That's normal. She's 8. She shouldn't have to worry about anything except homework and whether pizza counts as a vegetable. But she does worry, because she loves you and she's smart enough to see when you're struggling." Noah looked away, jaw tight. "This was a mistake." "What was?" "This. Us. Whatever this is. You live in a completely different world, Evelyn. You probably spent more on lunch just now than I spend on groceries in a week. And my daughter is already looking at you like some kind of solution to problems you shouldn't have to deal with." "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe we should stop before this gets complicated." "Noah, it's already complicated. Life is complicated. But that doesn't mean— I can't." The words came out harder than he meant them to. "I can't be the guy who needs rescuing. I did that with my ex-wife. Let her make me feel like I was never enough. And I'm not doing it again. I'm not her. I know you're not. But I'm still me. Still the broke single dad with a failing business and a daughter who deserves better than— Than what? Than a father who loves her? Who works himself to exhaustion to give her a good life? Because from where I'm standing, she's got exactly what she deserves." Mia came running back. "Dad, can we get ice cream on the way home?" "Not today, kiddo." "Oh, come on." I said no. The sharpness in his voice made Mia go quiet. She looked between Noah and Evelyn, sensing the tension. "Okay," she said softly. "Can we go home then?" The drive back to the house was silent, except for the radio playing top 40 hits neither of them was really hearing. When they pulled into the driveway, Mia got out without being asked and headed straight inside. Noah sat in the truck for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, trying to figure out when he'd become this person. This scared, defensive version of himself who pushed away anything good because it might hurt later. His phone buzzed. "Evelyn, I'm not giving up on you, Noah Bennett, just so you know." He stared at the message until the screen went dark, then went inside to apologize to his daughter for being an asshole. Bye. Monday morning arrived with rain and regret. Noah dropped Mia at school, drove to the shop, and tried to focus on work. A transmission rebuild, brake pads, oil changes, Mechanical problems with mechanical solutions. Marcus noticed the mood immediately. You okay, boss? Yeah. You don't look okay. I'm fine. Is this about that woman from Saturday? The one who shut down the angry customer? Noah didn't answer, which was answer enough. Look, man, I don't know what happened, Marcus said. But if you screwed it up, you should fix it. Because women who defend you to strangers and look at you like she looked at you don't come around often. What do you know about it? You're 22. I'm 22 and I've had 4 serious relationships. You're 32 and you've been alone for how many years? Get back to work. I'm just saying, Marcus, please. The kid raised his hands in surrender and disappeared into the bay. Noah's phone rang. Unknown number. Noah Bennett, he answered. Mr. Bennett, this is Patricia Hendricks from Valley Bank. I'm calling regarding your outstanding business loan payment. His stomach dropped. I sent a payment last week. Yes, we received that payment. However, it was 30 days late, and you're now past due on the current month as well. I'm calling to discuss your options. What options? Well, we'd like to avoid moving toward default. But if you're unable to make payments consistently, we may need to restructure the loan or discuss alternative arrangements. Alternative arrangements. Banking speak for, we're going to take your shop. I can make the payment, Noah said. I just need a few more days. Mr. Bennett, you've requested extensions 3 times in the past 6 months. We're trying to work with you, but there are limits to I understand. I'll have the money by Friday. I'll make a note of that. But Mr. Bennett, if you miss this deadline, we'll have to proceed with formal collection procedures. She hung up. Noah stood there holding his phone, staring at the transmission he was supposed to be rebuilding, trying to figure out where the hell he'd find $800 by Friday. The bell above the shop door rang. Noah looked up, expecting a customer. It was Evelyn. She stood there in a business suit, hair pulled back, looking every inch the billionaire she was. And in her hand was a brown paper bag. I brought lunch, she said. Is this a bad time? Noah set his phone down on the workbench with more force than necessary. It's always a bad time. Evelyn didn't move from the doorway. I can leave. No, sorry, that came out wrong. He wiped his hands on a rag, buying himself a second to find the right words. Bad phone call. Not your fault. She stepped inside, letting the door swing shut behind her. The shop suddenly felt smaller with her in it, like her presence took up more space than physics allowed. Want to talk about it? Not really. Want to eat instead? The paper bag turned out to contain sandwiches from a deli Noah had never heard of, the kind that came wrapped in butcher paper and probably cost $15 each. His stomach growled before he could tell it to shut up. I wasn't sure what you'd like, Evelyn said, setting the bag on the cleanest section of workbench she could find. So I got 3 different kinds, turkey, roast beef, and something the guy called a Italian deluxe that has approximately 17 ingredients. You didn't have to do this. I know. I wanted to. She pulled out the sandwiches, napkins, 2 bottles of water. Also, I felt bad about yesterday, the way things ended. That was my fault. Noah stopped, searching for the word. Defensive. Unfairly defensive. You were scared. The honesty of it caught him off guard. Yeah, I was. Marcus appeared from the bay, saw Evelyn, and immediately tried to backtrack. Too late. Oh, hey, he said, attempting casual and failing. Didn't know we had company. Marcus, this is Evelyn. Evelyn? Marcus. He works here and has terrible timing. I was just going to grab my... Actually, you know what? I'm going to take my lunch break. Outside. Far away from here. Marcus grabbed his jacket and practically ran for the door. After he left, silence settled over the shop, broken only by the hum of the space heater in the corner and the distant sound of traffic outside. He seems nice, Evelyn said. He's 22 and thinks he knows everything. But yeah, he's good. Noah unwrapped the turkey sandwich, not because he'd chosen it, but because it was closest. You want to tell me why you're really here? I told you I brought lunch. You drove across town in a business suit to bring me a sandwich? I had a meeting downtown. This was on the way. Nothing is on the way to this neighborhood. Evelyn smiled slightly, caught. Fine. I came because I wanted to see you, and because yesterday felt unfinished. It was unfinished. I was an asshole to you and to Mia, and then I went home and spent the rest of the day trying to figure out how to apologize. You don't need to apologize.
Yeah, I do.
You've been nothing but kind to me, and I threw it back in your face because I'm too proud or too scared or too... He set the sandwich down, still wrapped. I don't know what I am anymore. I used to think I had things figured out. Raise Mia, run the shop, don't need anything from anyone. Simple. But it's not simple.
No, it's really not. Noah leaned against the workbench, arms crossed. That phone call just now? Bank. They're threatening to foreclose on my business loan if I don't make a payment by Friday. $800 that I don't have. He hadn't meant to tell her that. The words just came out like a pressure valve releasing. Evelyn was quiet for a moment. What happens if you can't make the payment? They start collection procedures, which is banking talk for we're taking your shop.
And you need $800 by Friday.
Yeah.
She reached for her purse. Don't, Noah said immediately. Whatever you're thinking, don't. I'm thinking I could write you a check right now and this problem would be solved. And I'm thinking that would make me feel about 2 feet tall.
Why? It's just money, Noah. I have it. You need it. Basic math. It's not that simple. It literally is that simple.
Noah pushed off the workbench, creating distance.
You don't get it. My whole life, people have looked at me like I'm not enough. My ex-wife left because I couldn't provide the lifestyle she wanted. Mia's classmates have parents who drive nice cars and take vacations and don't worry about whether they can afford the field trip. And now you... He stopped himself. Now me what?
Now you show up with your expensive sandwiches and your checkbook and your ability to solve all my problems with what's probably pocket change to you, and it just reminds me that I'm the guy who needs rescuing. Again. Is that what you think I'm doing? Rescuing you? Aren't you? Evelyn set her own sandwich down, untouched. When she spoke, her voice was different, harder. You want to know why I'm really here, Noah? The actual reason? Yeah, I do, and because for the first time in 5 years, I met someone who didn't treat me like a transaction. You fixed my car in a rainstorm and didn't ask for anything. You bought me a burger at a diner and didn't try to impress me with expensive wine and fake French. You let your daughter ask inappropriate questions and defended your right to struggle without pretending everything was perfect. She picked up her purse. I came here because being around you feels real. But if you're going to stand there and tell me that my money makes me less real to you, then maybe you're right. Maybe this was a mistake. She walked toward the door. Wait, Noah said. She stopped but didn't turn around. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You keep apologizing, but you don't change anything. I know, you're right. He moved closer, close enough to see the tension in her shoulders. I'm scared, Evelyn. I'm terrified that if I let you help me, I'll start depending on it. And then when you leave, because everyone leaves eventually, I'll be even more broke than I am now, except this time Mia will have gotten attached to you too. Evelyn turned around. Her eyes were wet, but no tears had fallen. Who says I'm leaving? Everyone leaves. I'm not everyone. You say that now, but I've seen this before. Someone gets close, realizes what a mess I am, decides it's too much work. I can't do that again, and I definitely can't let Mia do that again. So your solution is to push me away first, before I have a chance to choose? The accuracy of it stung. Yeah, he admitted, that's exactly my solution. Evelyn stepped closer, close enough that he could smell her perfume mixed with the oil and metal scent that permanently lived in the shop. I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to actually hear it. Can you do that? Noah nodded. I've dated men who owned yachts and vacation homes and wore watches worth more than your truck. Men who took me to galas and charity events and made sure everyone knew they were with Evelyn Sinclair, billionaire businesswoman. You know what all of them had in common? What? Not one of them would have pulled over in a rainstorm to help a stranger. Not one of them would have worked late to pay for their kid's field trip. Not one of them would have turned down my money because their pride mattered more than the easy solution. She reached up and put her hand on his chest, right over his heart. You're not less than me, Noah. You're just different. And different is exactly what I've been looking for. He covered her hand with his own, feeling the warmth of it through his shirt. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be with someone who doesn't need me. My whole identity is wrapped up in being needed, fixing things, solving problems. If you don't need me to fix anything, then what am I? You're the person I want to have sandwiches with in a garage that smells like motor oil.
You're the father who worries about pancake budgets because he loves his daughter more than his own comfort. You're the man who apologizes when he screws up instead of doubling down. She pulled her hand back. But I can't convince you of that. You have to believe it yourself. The door opened. Marcus stuck his head in. Sorry to interrupt, but we got a customer pulling in. Tell them I'll be right there, Noah said without looking away from Evelyn. Marcus disappeared again. I should go, Evelyn said. Let you work. Will you? Noah caught himself, then decided to hell with it. Will you come over tonight after Mia goes to bed? I want to actually talk about this without an audience or time pressure or me being a defensive idiot. What time? 9? I'll be there.
She left through the front door just as a minivan pulled into the bay. Noah watched her Mercedes pull away, then turned to face whatever automotive crisis the minivan was about to present. It was going to be a long afternoon. Bads. At 8:47 p.m., Noah put Mia to bed for the third time. I'm not tired, she insisted, even as her eyes drooped. You've been yawning for the last hour. That's just my body's way of getting more oxygen. That's not how yawning works. How do you know? You're not a scientist. Noah sat on the edge of her bed, the same position he'd occupied countless times over the past 8 years. You're right. I'm not a scientist. But I am your dad, and I know when you're stalling. I'm not stalling. You asked for 3 different bedtime stories and 2 glasses of water. Mia was quiet for a moment, picking at her blanket. Is Evelyn coming over? How did you... I heard you on the phone earlier. You were trying to be quiet, but you're not very good at it. She might stop by for a little while. Do you love her? The question hit him like a punch. Mia, I barely know her. That's not what I asked. It's complicated. Adults always say that when they mean yes, but don't want to admit it. Where'd you learn that? Emma's older sister. She knows everything about relationships because she's 16 and has a boyfriend. Noah sighed. I like Evelyn a lot. But love it takes time. And there are things we need to figure out first. Like money? Like a lot of things. Mia rolled onto her side, facing him. In the dim light from her nightlight, she looked younger than 8. Vulnerable in a way that made Noah's chest ache. I don't want you to be alone forever, Dad. I'm not alone. I've got you. You know what I mean. You need someone who's just yours. Someone who makes you smile the way you smiled when you were texting her yesterday. You're too smart for your own good. I know. She yawned, this time for real. I like her. She's nice. And she looks at you like you're important. I am important. I'm your dad. That's different. Another yawn. I mean, she looks at you like you're important to her. Not because you fix things or take care of people, just because you're you. Noah kissed her forehead. Get some sleep, sweetheart. Will you tell me in the morning if she stays over? She's not staying over. But if she does, sleep now. Mia grinned and closed her eyes. Noah waited until her breathing evened out, then quietly left the room, pulling the door almost closed behind him. The house was a mess. Dishes in the sink, laundry in a basket that had been waiting to be folded for 3 days, toys scattered across the living room floor. He spent the next hour cleaning, trying not to think about why he was cleaning, trying not to acknowledge that he wanted Evelyn to see his house as something other than a disaster zone. By the time the doorbell rang at 9:04 p.m., he'd managed to make the place look almost livable. Evelyn stood on his porch in jeans and a sweater, holding a bottle of wine. Hi. Hi yourself. Come in. She stepped inside, looking around with undisguised curiosity. The house was small, probably a third the size of her apartment, with furniture that had seen better decades and walls that needed repainting. But it was clean and warm, and it smelled like the lavender candle Noah had panic bought at the grocery store on his way home. Wine? Evelyn offered the bottle. I don't really drink. Oh, sorry, I should have asked, but I've got coffee, or tea, or water that tastes vaguely like the pipes it came from. She laughed. Coffee sounds good. They ended up sitting at the kitchen table, the same table where Noah paid bills and helped Mia with homework and ate most of his meals alone. 2 mugs of coffee between them, neither one quite sure how to start. Your house is nice, Evelyn said finally. You're a terrible liar. Okay, your house is small and needs work, But it feels lived in, loved. That's nice. It's a rental. The landlord won't fix anything, so I do what I can, but there's only so much. Noah stopped himself. Sorry, you didn't come here to listen to me complain about my house. I came here because you asked me to. We can talk about whatever you want. Noah wrapped both hands around his mug, staring into the coffee like it might contain answers. I need to explain something about earlier, about why I reacted the way I did. Okay? When my ex-wife left, she said something to me, something I've never told anyone, not even Jennifer. He took a breath. She said, I can't spend the rest of my life waiting for you to become someone worth staying for. Those were her exact words. Worth staying for. Evelyn's expression softened, but she didn't speak. And the thing is, part of me believed her, still believes her. Because if I was worth staying for, she would have stayed. Mia would have a mother. I wouldn't be scrambling every month to keep the lights on. I'd be... He struggled for the word. Enough. I'd be enough. Noah, let me finish, please. He looked up, meeting her eyes. When you offered me money today, my first thought wasn't gratitude. It was shame, because accepting it would prove her right, that I'm not enough on my own, that I need rescuing, and I can't be that person again, the person who wasn't worth staying for. You know that's not true, right? What she said to you? Intellectually, yeah. But knowing something and believing it are different things. Evelyn was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. When she spoke, her voice was careful. Can I tell you about my mother? The change in subject confused him, but he nodded. She's 73 years old and lives in a penthouse in Manhattan that costs more per month than most people make in a year. She's on the board of 6 different charities, attends galas 3 times a week, and has never, in my entire life, told me she was proud of me. Evelyn, when I started my first company, she told me I was wasting my time. When I sold it for $12 million, she asked why I hadn't held out for 15. When I bought my first property, she critiqued the neighborhood. When I made my first Forbes list, she pointed out I was ranked 78th instead of in the top 50. Evelyn's hands had tightened around her mug. Nothing I've ever done has been enough for her, and for years I killed myself trying to prove I was worth her approval. Did you? Did I what? Prove it? No, because the problem was never me. It was her. She's incapable of seeing people as anything other than accomplishments or failures. There's no middle ground. Evelyn looked up. Your ex-wife was wrong about you, Noah. Not because you're perfect or because you have everything figured out, but because worth isn't something you earn through money or success or becoming whoever someone else thinks you should be. You're worth staying for because of who you are right now, broke garage and stubborn pride and all. Noah felt something crack open in his chest. I don't know how to believe that. Then let me believe it for you, until you catch up. He reached across the table and took her hand. Her fingers were warm from the coffee mug, soft in a way his had never been and never would be. I'm going to screw this up, he said, probably multiple times. I'm going to be defensive and proud and terrible at accepting help. I know. And I can't promise fancy dinners or expensive gifts or... I don't want fancy dinners. I want this. Coffee in your kitchen at 9 p.m. while your daughter sleeps in the next room. Conversations that matter instead of small talk about stock prices. Someone who sees me as Evelyn instead of Evelyn Sinclair, billionaire. I can do that. Then we're good. They sat there holding hands across a table that had seen better days, in a kitchen that needed updating, in a house that would never appear in any design magazine. And for the first time in longer than he could remember, Noah felt something that wasn't fear or exhaustion or worry. He felt hope. Over the next 3 weeks, they fell into a pattern that felt both natural and completely foreign to Noah. Evelyn would text him in the mornings, nothing elaborate, just a good morning or a coffee cup emoji that somehow made his whole day better. They'd meet for lunch when his schedule allowed, usually at places she picked that were nicer than anywhere Noah would have chosen on his own, but not so expensive that he felt completely out of place. She came to the shop twice more, once bringing Marcus a sandwich too when she realized he was Noah's only employee. Marcus had looked at Noah afterward with an expression that clearly said, "If you screw this up, I will never forgive you." On Thursday evening, 17 days after the rainstorm that started everything, Evelyn picked up Mia from school. Noah had been stuck under a Suburban with a rusted exhaust system, and Jennifer had a work conflict, and Noah had been about to panic when Evelyn texted offering to help. He'd said yes. It had felt like jumping off a cliff. When he got home at 6:30, he found them in the kitchen together. Mia was standing on a step stool, covered in flour, while Evelyn guided her hands through kneading bread dough. "We're making pizza from scratch," Mia announced. "Real pizza, with yeast and everything." "I see that." Noah set his keys on the counter, watching them work together. Evelyn had flour on her nose and her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, and she looked nothing like a billionaire businesswoman. She looked happy.
Dad, did you know that yeast is alive? It's like millions of tiny organisms, and they eat sugar and burp carbon dioxide, and that's what makes the dough rise. That's very scientific. Evelyn knows all about it. She used to bake bread with her grandmother. I didn't know that, Noah said, looking at Evelyn. She shrugged, smiling. There's a lot you don't know about me yet.
They ate the pizza at 8 p.m., sitting in the living room because the kitchen table wasn't big enough for all their plates, and the salad Evelyn had also made, and the garlic bread that Mia insisted on calling bonus bread. Mia talked nonstop about her day, about the science project on renewable energy, about how Tommy Patterson had gotten in trouble for putting glue in Emma's hair. Normal kid stuff that made the house feel full in a way it hadn't in years. After dinner, while Mia brushed her teeth, Noah helped Evelyn clean up. "You didn't have to do this," he said, scraping plates. "Pick her up, make dinner, all of it." "I wanted to. She's great, Noah. Really great. She likes you." "I like her too." Evelyn loaded plates into the dishwasher, efficient in a way that suggested she'd done this before despite what her net worth might imply. "Is that okay? That she likes me?" "Yeah, it's good. Scary, but good." "Scary why?" Noah set down the plate he was holding. "Because now it's not just me who'll get hurt if this doesn't work out." "Why are you so convinced it won't work out?" "I'm not convinced. I'm just prepared for the possibility." That's exhausting, Noah, living like the other shoe's always about to drop. It's also realistic. It's also sad. Mia appeared in the doorway in her pajamas. "Can Evelyn put me to bed tonight?" Noah looked at Evelyn, who looked as surprised as he felt. "If that's okay with your dad," Evelyn said carefully. Yeah, okay." He watched them disappear down the hallway, heard the sound of Mia's bedroom door closing, heard their muffled voices through the wall. He stood in his kitchen, hands in dishwater, trying to process the fact that someone else was putting his daughter to bed. Someone who wasn't family. Someone who'd been in their lives for less than a month but had somehow become essential. Evelyn emerged 20 minutes later. She wanted 3 stories and insisted on explaining the water cycle in detail. "I think she's finally asleep." Welcome to parenthood. Is it always like that? Sometimes it's worse. Sometimes she wants to discuss philosophy or where the universe ends or why people die. How do you answer that last one? Noah dried his hands on a towel. Badly. I answer it badly and hope she doesn't notice. They moved to the couch, sitting close but not quite touching, both aware of Mia asleep down the hall. "I need to tell you something," Evelyn said, "and I don't want you to freak out." That's a terrible way to start a sentence. "I talked to my accountant this week, asked him about small business loans and restructuring options. Not for me, for clients. Hypothetically." Noah's stomach tightened. "Evelyn, just listen. There are programs, options that don't involve me writing you a check, but could help with the bank situation. No charity, no handouts, just information about resources that already exist." "Why would you do that?" "Because I care about you, and because watching you stress about money when there might be solutions is driving me crazy." "I can't." "I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just saying the information exists if you want it. My accountant's name is Richard Cho. He's discreet, and he's good, and he won't judge you for asking questions." She pulled a business card from her pocket. "That's it. That's all I'm offering. Information." Noah took the card, staring at the embossed lettering. Richard Cho, CPA, a phone number, an email address. This feels like charity. It's not. It's me using my resources to point you toward resources you might not know about. What you do with the information is completely up to you. He set the card on the coffee table, not committing to anything. "Thank you for this, for today, for..." He gestured vaguely. "Everything." You don't have to thank me for spending time with you and Mia. I like being here. Even in my tiny falling apart rental house? Especially in your tiny falling apart rental house. She leaned her head on his shoulder. This is going to sound weird. Okay. I spent my entire 20s building an empire, working 18-hour days, making deals, proving I was just as good as any man in the room, and I was proud of it, am proud of it, but I was also lonely in a way I didn't let myself acknowledge. She shifted slightly, tilting her head to look up at him. Being here, with you and Mia, making pizza and talking about the water cycle, this is the first time in 10 years I've felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Noah kissed her, not because he had a response, but because words felt insufficient. She kissed him back, her hand coming up to rest against his jaw, and for a moment everything else fell away. The bills, the bank, the fear that this was too good to last. When they broke apart, Evelyn was smiling. I should go. It's late. You could stay. On your couch? On my couch. Tempting, but I have an early meeting tomorrow, and I need to change clothes, and she stood, pulling him up with her. Soon, though. I'll stay soon. He walked her to the door, reluctant to let the evening end. Noah, she said, standing on the porch. Yeah? That business card? Call him. Or don't, but at least think about it. After she left, Noah picked up the card again, turning it over in his hands. The smart thing would be to call, to explore his options, to stop drowning in pride and start accepting that maybe, just maybe, asking for help didn't make him weak. But old habits died hard. He put the card in his wallet and went to bed, where he lay awake for 2 hours thinking about everything and nothing, until exhaustion finally pulled him under. Friday arrived with the inevitability of a train wreck. Noah had the bank payment due, exactly $0 in his business account, and a handful of jobs that wouldn't pay out until next week at the earliest. He'd thought about calling Richard Cho, thought about it every day since Evelyn had given him the card. But thinking wasn't the same as doing, and doing required admitting he was in over his head. At 3 p.m., his phone rang. Valley Bank again. Mr. Bennett, this is Patricia Hendricks. I'm calling about your payment that was due today. I know, I'm working on it. You said you'd have it by today. I said I'd try to have it by today. Mr. Bennett, we've been patient, but if I don't receive payment by close of business, we'll have no choice but to begin formal collection procedures. I understand. Do you have any idea when you might be able to make the payment? Noah looked around his shop, at the tools his father had given him, at the sign he kept meaning to fix, at Marcus in the Bay working on a brake job, completely unaware that his boss was about to lose everything. No, Noah said honestly. I don't. Patricia Hendricks sighed. I'm sorry, Mr. Bennett. I really am. But my hands are tied. She hung up. Noah sat there holding his phone, feeling the walls close in. This was it. The end of the shop his father had started 40 years ago. The end of his ability to provide for Mia. The end of pretending he could do this on his own. His phone rang again. Evelyn. He almost didn't answer, but his thumb moved without permission. Hey, he said. Hey yourself, how's your day going? Not great. Want to talk about it? Not really. Want me to come over anyway? Noah closed his eyes. Yeah, I really do. She arrived 30 minutes later, walking into his shop like she belonged there, in slacks and a blouse that probably cost more than his monthly rent. What happened? She asked. He told her. About the bank, about Patricia Hendricks, about the collection procedures starting Monday, about how he'd failed at the one thing he was supposed to be good at. Evelyn listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she said, Did you call Richard? No. Why not? Because I kept thinking I could fix it myself. But you can't. No, I can't. She pulled out her phone, typed something, waited. Then, Richard, it's Evelyn. I'm with a friend who needs some advice. Do you have 20 minutes? Pause. Great. I'm putting you on speaker. Evelyn, what are you? Shh. Richard, this is Noah Bennett. He owns an auto repair shop that's about to go into collections. What are his options? A man's voice came through the speaker, calm and professional. Mr. Bennett, can you tell me about your current situation? Loan amount, monthly payments, how far behind you are? Noah rattled off the numbers, feeling exposed and humiliated and grateful all at once. Richard asked questions, lots of them, about Noah's revenue, his expenses, his credit score, his business history. 20 minutes turned into 40, then an hour. Finally, Richard said, "Okay, here's what I'm seeing. You've got options. Not great options, but options. There's a small business hardship program through the SBA that might buy you some time. There's also loan consolidation that could lower your monthly payments. And if you're willing to take on a partner or investor, that opens up other possibilities. I can't afford a partner. You might not have a choice. But let's start with the hardship program. I can walk you through the application if you want. It's not guaranteed, but it's better than collections." Noah looked at Evelyn, who was watching him with an expression that said, "Your move." "Okay," he said, "let's do it." They spent the next 2 hours on paperwork. Richard walked Noah through forms and applications and documentation requirements, patient in a way Noah didn't deserve. Evelyn sat nearby, occasionally offering encouragement or fetching coffee or just being present. By the time they finished, it was after 7 p.m. and Marcus had long since gone home. "I've submitted everything," Richard said through the phone. "They'll review it Monday. No promises, but you've got a decent case." "Thank you," Noah said. "Seriously, thank you. Evelyn's friends are my friends. Good luck, Mr. Bennett." After he hung up, Noah sat in the silence of his shop, feeling wrung out and relieved and terrified. "You okay?" Evelyn asked. "I don't know. Ask me Monday." She stood and held out her hand. "Come on, you're coming to my place." "Evelyn, you're not staying here alone tonight. Mia's with Jennifer, you told me that earlier. So you're coming to my apartment, we're ordering food, and you're going to let yourself not be strong for a few hours, okay?" It wasn't really a question. "Okay," Noah said, and let her lead him out of the shop into a future he still couldn't quite believe in but was starting, finally, to hope for. Evelyn's apartment was on the 23rd floor of a building downtown that had a doorman and marble floors and the kind of elevator that moved so smoothly you barely felt it. Noah stood in the lobby feeling exactly like what he was, a mechanic in work boots tracking imaginary grease across pristine surfaces. "Evening, Miss Sinclair," the doorman said, nodding politely. His eyes flicked to Noah with the briefest assessment before returning to professional neutrality. "Evening, Marcus," Evelyn replied. Different Marcus, Noah noted absently. The world apparently had an unlimited supply of them. The elevator ride was silent. Noah watched the numbers climb, each floor another layer of distance between him and anything familiar. When the doors opened on 23, Evelyn led him down a hallway with artwork on the walls that looked expensive enough to require insurance. Her apartment was exactly what he'd expected, and somehow worse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that belonged in magazines, a kitchen with appliances Noah couldn't identify. Everything was clean, modern, deliberate. The opposite of his cluttered rental house where nothing matched, and everything had a story. "I know it's a lot," Evelyn said, watching him take it in. "My designer got carried away." "You have a designer?" "Had. Past tense. She kept trying to make everything white and minimal, and I finally told her I actually wanted to live here, not just exist in a showroom." Noah walked to the windows, looking out at the city lights spreading in every direction. From up here, his neighborhood was invisible. Just another cluster of buildings in the distance, indistinguishable from anything else. "You want something to drink?" Evelyn asked. "I've got wine, beer, probably some whiskey somewhere. Water's fine." She disappeared into the kitchen. Noah heard the sound of a refrigerator opening, glasses clinking. He stood at the window feeling disconnected from his own body, like he was watching someone else's life instead of living his own. Evelyn returned with 2 glasses of water and sat on the couch, patting the cushion next to her. "Come here, stop hovering by the window like you're planning an escape route." "I wasn't—" He stopped. "Okay, maybe a little." He sat, accepting the water he didn't really want. The couch was impossibly comfortable, the kind that probably cost more than he made in 3 months. "Tell me what you're thinking," Evelyn said. "That I don't belong here." "Why not?" "Because look at this place, Evelyn. Look at my boots on your rug. I'm literally bringing dirt into your perfect apartment. It's just a rug. It'll survive." She tucked her legs under her, turning to face him. "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Looking for reasons why this won't work. Building walls before anyone has a chance to hurt you." That's not. Noah set the water down harder than he meant to. You don't understand what it's like to be broke and scared all the time, to look at your kid and wonder if you're failing her, to watch everyone else succeed while you're barely treading water. You're right. I don't understand that specific experience. Then how can we? He gestured vaguely between them. How does this even work? We live in completely different worlds. Do we? Evelyn leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, we both know what it's like to be lonely. We both know what it's like to feel like you're not enough. The circumstances are different, but the feeling, that's the same. It's not the same. You chose to work 18-hour days. I don't have a choice. You think I had a choice? You think being a woman in finance meant I could work normal hours and still be taken seriously? Her voice had an edge now. I built my first company with money I saved from 3 jobs I worked simultaneously. I slept 4 hours a night for 2 years. I had male colleagues tell me to my face I'd only gotten funding because I was pretty. And when I succeeded anyway, they said I'd slept my way there. Noah looked at her, really looked, and saw the exhaustion under the polish. I didn't know. Because I don't talk about it. Just like you don't talk about how scared you are. We both hide, Noah. We just hide different things. They sat in silence for a moment, the truth settling between them like sediment. I'm sorry, Noah said finally, for assuming, for thinking your life was easy just because you have money. And I'm sorry for not understanding how hard it is to accept help when you've spent your whole life proving you don't need it. So what do? We try. We screw up. We try again. Evelyn took his hand, and we stop pretending we have to be perfect for this to work. Noah's phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. Mia's asking about you. Everything okay? He typed back, yeah, just dealing with work stuff. Tell her I love her. Will do. Also, Evelyn's good for you. Don't mess it up. How do you know I'm with Evelyn? Because you only turn off your phone when you're working or with her. And the shop's closed. Noah set the phone down, shaking his head. Jennifer says hi. Also says not to mess this up. Smart woman. She has her moments. He looked around the apartment again, trying to see it as a place where he might belong instead of a museum he was visiting. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why me? Seriously, you could date anyone. Doctors, lawyers, other billionaires, people who fit into your life without... He gestured at himself. All this baggage. You want the truth? Yeah. Evelyn was quiet for a moment, choosing her words. Every man I've dated in the last 5 years has wanted something from me. Access to my network, investment in their startup, introductions to other wealthy people. They saw Evelyn Sinclair, billionaire, not Evelyn, person who likes bad reality TV and burns toast and sometimes cries during car commercials. You cry during car commercials? The one with the dog and the soldier coming home? Destroys me every time. She squeezed his hand. You fixed my car in a rainstorm and didn't even know who I was. You've never asked me for money, never tried to use me for connections, never treated me like a transaction. You see me, the real me. And that's so rare I almost didn't recognize it at first. I see a woman who's way out of my league. There are no leagues, Noah. That's high school thinking. There's just people trying to figure out how to be happy, and sometimes, if you're really lucky, you find someone who makes the figuring out part easier. His phone rang. Unknown number. Noah almost ignored it, but something made him answer. Mr. Bennett, this is Patricia Hendricks from Valley Bank. Noah's entire body tensed. Ms. Hendricks, I wasn't expecting to hear from you until Monday. I know, but I wanted to call you personally. I pulled up the hardship application that came through this afternoon and I spoke with my supervisor. She paused. We're going to approve it. What? We're approving the hardship deferment. Your payment will be postponed for 60 days while we restructure the loan terms. You'll still owe the money, but we're extending the repayment period and lowering your monthly payment. Noah couldn't speak. The words didn't make sense. Mr. Bennett, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll make your adjusted payments on time going forward. We're giving you a second chance, but that's all it is. One chance. I will. I promise. Thank you. After she hung up, Noah sat there staring at his phone like it might start speaking in tongues. What happened? Evelyn asked. They approved it. The hardship thing.
They're not taking the shop. Noah, that's amazing.
He kissed her, not gentle or tentative like before, but desperate and grateful and overwhelmed. She kissed him back just as hard, her hands coming up to frame his face, and for several seconds the world contracted to just this, her mouth on his, her fingers in his hair, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, things could actually be okay. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Evelyn was smiling. What was that for? For calling Richard, for not giving up on me when I was giving up on myself, for being exactly who you are. I didn't do anything. You filled out the application. You made the call. Because you pushed me to. Because you wouldn't let me quit. Noah pressed his forehead against hers. I've spent 8 years convinced I had to do everything alone. And you walked into my life and just shattered that. In the best possible way. Good. Because I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. They ordered Thai food and ate it on the couch, while Noah told her about the shop, about his dad, about the day Mia was born, and how terrified he'd been that he wouldn't be a good father. Evelyn told him about her first failed startup, about the investor who'd laughed her out of his office, about the day she'd made her first million and realized it didn't fix the loneliness. Around midnight, Noah's phone buzzed again. Jennifer. Mia's asleep. No rush coming home. Enjoy your night. I should go, Noah said, not moving. You could stay. On the couch? I have a guest room with an actual bed. Revolutionary concept. I don't have clothes, or I'll loan you a t-shirt. It'll be huge on you, but it's clean. She stood, holding out her hand. Stay, please. He took her hand and let her lead him down a hallway to a room that was bigger than Mia's entire bedroom. The bed looked like something from a hotel, complete with more pillows than any reasonable person needed. Bathroom's through there, Evelyn said, pointing. Towels in the cabinet. I'll grab you that shirt. She disappeared, returning with a faded Northwestern t-shirt that had clearly seen better days. College souvenir? Noah asked. Yeah, before I dropped out to start my first company. My mother didn't speak to me for 6 months after that. Because you left school? Because I embarrassed her. Quitting was admitting you couldn't hack it, and Sinclair's don't quit. Evelyn handed him the shirt. Joke's on her. I'm worth about 300 times what she is now. But it still bothers you, what she thinks. Every single day. She kissed his cheek. Get some sleep. I'll be down the hall if you need anything. After she left, Noah changed into the t-shirt and brushed his teeth with the spare toothbrush Evelyn had provided. He climbed into the guest bed, which was absurdly comfortable, and stared at the ceiling, trying to process everything that had happened in the last 6 hours. His phone buzzed. Evelyn. Thank you for trusting me enough to stay. He typed back. Thank you for making it safe to trust you. Sleep came easier than he expected. Morning arrived with sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. Noah woke disoriented, taking several seconds to remember where he was. The guest room. Evelyn's apartment. Friday night had turned into Saturday morning. He found his phone. 7:23 a.m. A text from Jennifer. Mia's up and wants pancakes. Taking her to breakfast. Take your time. And from Evelyn, sent 10 minutes ago. Coffee's ready when you are. Noah got dressed in yesterday's clothes and followed the smell of coffee to the kitchen, where Evelyn stood at the counter in pajama pants and a tank top, hair messy, no makeup. She looked more beautiful than he'd ever seen her. Morning, she said, handing him a mug. Sleep okay? Better than I have in months, actually. Good, because I was thinking... She paused, suddenly nervous. What are you doing tonight? Probably the same thing I do every Saturday night. Order pizza with Mia, watch whatever movie she picks, fall asleep on the couch by 9:30. Would you be opposed to company? For the pizza and movie part? Not the falling asleep part. Unless, I could stay for that too if... She stopped herself. I'm rambling. Noah set down his coffee and pulled her close. Yes. Yes what? Yes to company? Yes to pizza? Yes to whatever movie Mia picks, even though it'll probably involve talking animals or princesses or both. I like talking animals. Of course you do. They drank coffee and ate toast that Evelyn did, in fact, burn slightly. Noah told her about Mia's latest obsession with marine biology and how he'd spent 3 evenings this week learning about bioluminescent jellyfish. Evelyn told him about a startup she was considering investing in that made sustainable packaging from mushroom roots. Mushroom roots? Noah repeated. I know, it sounds fake, but it's actually brilliant, biodegradable, cheap to produce, and it works better than styrofoam.
You get excited about the weirdest things, says the man who spent 20 minutes yesterday explaining the difference between synthetic and conventional oil. That's important information. So are mushroom roots. They were both laughing when Noah's phone rang. Marcus. Boss, we got a situation. Noah's good mood evaporated instantly. What kind of situation? Remember that transmission rebuild you did on the Accord last week? Customers here says it's leaking fluid everywhere and she's threatening to call a lawyer. I'll be there in 30 minutes. He hung up and looked at Evelyn apologetically. I have to go, I get it. Work emergency. I'm sorry, this is Noah. Go. We'll do tonight, okay? He kissed her quickly and headed for the door, already mentally running through everything he'd done on that transmission, trying to figure out what he'd missed. The shop was exactly where he'd left it, and the Accord was leaking transmission fluid all over the bay floor. The customer, a woman in her 50s wearing a business suit, stood with her arms crossed, looking ready to murder someone. Ms. Chen, Noah said, walking in, I'm so sorry. Let me look at it. You told me it was fixed. You charged me $800 and said it was fixed. I know. And I'm going to figure out what went wrong and fix it. Right now, free of charge. I don't want free. I want it done right the first time. You're absolutely right. And Marcus, can you grab me the floor jack? It took 40 minutes to find the problem, a bolt he'd over-tightened that had cracked the transmission pan. Rookie mistake. The kind of thing that happened when you were distracted and exhausted and working too fast. He replaced the pan, refilled the fluid, tested everything twice. Ms. Chen watched the entire time, silent and furious. Okay, Noah said finally. Try it now. She got in the car, started it, put it in gear. No leaks. The transmission shifted smoothly. It's working, she said, suspicion still evident in her voice. Yeah. And I'm refunding your original payment, all $800. You don't have to. I do. I screwed up. You shouldn't have to pay for my mistake. Ms. Chen studied him for a long moment. You know what? Keep the money. But next time I need work done, I'm taking it somewhere else. She drove away. Noah stood there watching, feeling the weight of another failure settle on his shoulders. Boss, Marcus said quietly, that was the right thing to do. The right thing to do would have been not screwing it up in the first place. You're human. Humans screw up. Not when people are trusting you with their cars, with their safety. You fixed it. You made it right. That counts for something. Noah wanted to believe that. Wanted to accept that making mistakes didn't mean he was a failure. But the voice in his head, the one that sounded like his ex-wife, like every creditor who'd ever called, like his own worst fears, told him different. His phone rang. Evelyn. Hey, he answered. How'd it go? Fixed the car, lost a customer. Refunded $800 I couldn't afford to refund. Oh, Noah, I'm sorry. It's fine. Just another day in paradise. He tried to inject some humor into his voice and failed completely. You want me to come over there? No, I've got work to do. I'll see you tonight, okay? Okay. But Noah? Yeah? You're allowed to have bad days. You don't have to pretend everything's fine when it's not. After they hung up, Noah got back to work, burying himself in oil changes and brake jobs and diagnostics. Anything to keep his hands busy and his mind from dwelling on the $800 he'd just given away. By the time he locked up at 5, exhaustion had replaced anger. He drove home on autopilot, parked in his driveway, and sat there for several minutes trying to find the energy to go inside. Mia met him at the door. Dad, Evelyn texted and said she's bringing pizza at 6:30. Can I stay up late to watch the movie? Sure, baby. Whatever you want. Are you okay? You look sad. Just tired. Long day. She hugged him, fierce and sudden. I love you, Dad. I love you too, kiddo. Evelyn arrived at 6:35 with 3 pizzas, breadsticks, and a look that said she knew he was barely holding it together. She didn't comment on it, just set the food on the table and helped Mia pick a movie while Noah took the world's fastest shower. They ended up watching some animated thing about a girl who could talk to sea creatures. Mia sat between them on the couch,
providing running commentary on the scientific accuracy of various marine animals. "That's not how octopuses communicate," she announced. "They use chromatophores to change color. They don't talk." "It's a movie, sweetheart," Noah said. "Movies should still be accurate." Evelyn laughed. "She's got a point." Halfway through the movie, Mia fell asleep with her head on Noah's lap. Evelyn carefully extracted her and carried her to bed, a sight that did something complicated to Noah's chest. When she came back, she sat next to him and took his hand. "You want to talk about it?"
Not really. Want me to just sit here quietly and be present? Yeah, that'd be good. So they sat, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist, while the movie played to an audience of 0. Outside, rain started again, lighter than the storm that had brought them together, but steady and constant. "Thank you," Noah said after a while. "For what?" "For not trying to fix this. For just being here. That's the easy part." She tilted her head to look up at him. "You know that, right? Being here with you and Mia, this is the easy part of my entire week." "Even when I'm a mess?" "Especially when you're a mess, because you let me see it instead of pretending you've got everything under control." "I definitely don't have everything under control. Nobody does. They just pretend better."
They sat like that until the movie ended, neither one wanting to move, neither one ready for the evening to be over. "Stay," Noah said finally. "Please. On the couch, in Mia's room, wherever. Just stay." "I'll take the couch." He got her a blanket and a pillow from the hall closet, both of which had seen better years. She accepted them without comment and settled onto his second-hand couch like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Good night," she said. "Good night." Noah went to his own room and lay awake for a long time, listening to the house settle, thinking about the woman on his couch and the daughter down the hall, and how somehow, despite everything falling apart, he'd never felt less alone. Quote, Sunday morning, Noah woke to voices in the kitchen. He stumbled out of bed to find Mia and Evelyn making pancakes together, flour everywhere, both of them laughing. "Dad's up," Mia announced. "We're making breakfast." "I see that." "Evelyn knows how to make the Mickey Mouse-shaped ones. Can we keep her?" Mia, "What? I'm just asking." Evelyn caught Noah's eye and smiled, and in that moment he could see it. A future. Not perfect, not easy, but real. The three of them in this kitchen, making Mickey Mouse pancakes and getting flour everywhere, and being absurdly, impossibly happy. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I think we should keep her." Mia cheered. Evelyn's smile widened, and Noah Bennett, 32 years old and still figuring everything out, let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, he deserved this. They ate pancakes and talked about plans for the day. Mia wanted to go to the aquarium. Noah wanted to collapse on the couch and pretend the outside world didn't exist. They compromised on a walk in the park followed by ice cream. It was ordinary. Beautifully, perfectly ordinary. And for the first time in longer than he could remember, ordinary felt like exactly enough. As they cleaned up breakfast, Noah's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Mr. Bennett, this is Victoria Sinclair, Evelyn's mother. I believe we should meet. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Belmont Hotel. Come alone." Noah stared at the message, his good mood evaporating like water on hot pavement. "Everything okay?" Evelyn asked, noticing his expression. He thought about telling her, thought about showing her the text and asking what the hell her mother wanted with him. But something stopped him. Maybe pride. Maybe fear. Maybe the certainty that whatever Victoria Sinclair wanted to say to him, he needed to hear it alone first. "Yeah," he lied. "Everything's fine." And as Mia chattered about jellyfish and Evelyn loaded the dishwasher, Noah committed the text to memory and tried not to think about what tomorrow afternoon would bring. The Belmont Hotel was the kind of place Noah had only seen in movies. Marble columns, crystal chandeliers, staff in uniforms that probably cost more than his monthly grocery budget. He walked through the lobby at 1:55 p.m. feeling like an imposter, hyper-aware of his cleanest pair of jeans and the button-down shirt he'd ironed twice that morning. The hostess at the restaurant directed him to a corner table where Victoria Sinclair sat with the posture of someone who'd never slouched in her life. She was 73 but looked 60, dressed in a cream suit that screamed old money, her silver hair styled in a way that probably required a standing appointment. Mr. Bennett, she said, not standing. Punctual. That's something, at least. Noah sat down across from her, refusing to let her see how nervous he was. Mrs. Sinclair, your text said we should meet. It did, and here we are. She signaled a waiter who appeared instantly. I'll have the tea service, Mr. Bennett. Coffee, black. After the waiter left, Victoria folded her hands on the table and studied Noah with the kind of assessment usually reserved for livestock auctions. I suppose you're wondering why I asked you here, she said. The thought crossed my mind. I'm going to be direct, Mr. Bennett, because I don't believe in wasting time. You're dating my daughter. I am. And you run a failing auto repair shop on the east side. The accuracy stung, but Noah kept his expression neutral. I run an auto repair shop, yes. With significant debt, a history of late payments, and a customer base that barely keeps you afloat. You've done your homework. I always do. I also know you're a single father. Your ex-wife abandoned you and your daughter, and you've been one bad month away from bankruptcy for the past 3 years. Victoria's voice remained perfectly pleasant, like she was discussing the weather. Am I missing anything? Yeah. You missed the part where none of that is your business. Her eyebrow raised slightly. Everything involving my daughter is my business. She's 30 years old. Pretty sure she gets to decide that for herself. Evelyn is brilliant but emotionally impulsive. She sees a struggling single father and thinks she's found something authentic, something real. What she's actually found is a liability. The waiter returned with tea and coffee. Victoria waited until he left before continuing. Let me be clear about something, Mr. Bennett. I built the Sinclair family fortune from a modest inheritance into an empire worth $500 million. I did not do that by making emotional decisions or ignoring red flags. I'm a red flag. You're a man with nothing to offer my daughter except debt and complications. She could have anyone, doctors, lawyers, executives, people who match her ambition and success. Instead, she's playing house with a mechanic who can barely make rent. Noah took a sip of coffee to buy himself time to respond without saying something he'd regret. Does Evelyn know you're here? Of course not. She'd be furious. She'd accuse me of interfering, of being controlling, of not trusting her judgment. Victoria's expression softened slightly. But I'm her mother. Protecting her is more important than being liked by her. Protecting her from what exactly? From being happy? From making a mistake that will derail her life? You have a daughter, Mr. Bennett. Surely you understand the impulse to shield your child from harm. I do, but I also understand that Mia is going to make her own choices, and my job isn't to control those choices. It's to support her when things get hard. How noble. And when your daughter brings home someone completely unsuitable, someone who will drain her resources and limit her potential, you'll just support that? If she's happy? Yeah, I will. Victoria set down her teacup with precise care. Then you're a fool. But I suspect you already know that. Is there a point to this conversation, or did you just want to tell me I'm not good enough for your daughter? The point, Mr. Bennett, is that I'm offering you a solution. She reached into her purse and pulled out a checkbook. Name your price. Noah stared at her. Excuse me? How much would it take for you to end this relationship? 50,000? Enough to clear your debts and give you a fresh start? 100,000? You could sell your failing shop, move somewhere cheaper, give your daughter a better life. She clicked open a pen. Name your price. The words hit him like a physical blow. This was actually happening. A billionaire was sitting across from him in a 5-star hotel, offering him money to leave her daughter alone. You can't be serious, he said. I'm entirely serious. Everyone has a price, Mr. Bennett. I'm simply asking what yours is. And you think Evelyn won't find out about this? That she won't hate you for it? What she doesn't know won't hurt her. You'll tell her you realized the relationship wasn't working, that the differences between you were too significant. She'll be hurt, but she'll recover. Women like Evelyn always do. Noah pushed his coffee away, suddenly nauseous. I'm not taking your money. 200,000 then. Final offer. That's more than you'd make in 5 years at that garage of yours. I said no. Then you're stupider than I thought. Victoria closed the checkbook. Do you really believe this will last? That my daughter will be content living in your world? She's used to luxury, Mr. Bennett, to nice restaurants and expensive wine and vacations to places you can't pronounce. How long before she realizes what she's given up?
Maybe you should ask her that instead of assuming, I know my daughter better than you ever will. This is a phase, a rebellion against the life I built for her. And when she wakes up and realizes she's wasted her time on someone who can't even fix a sign on his own shop, she'll come back to reality. The only question is how much damage she'll have sustained in the process. Noah stood up. We're done here. Sit down, Mr. Bennett. I'm not finished. Yeah, you are. And you can tell Evelyn about this conversation yourself because I'm sure as hell going to. If you tell her, you'll lose her. She'll feel obligated to choose you just to spite me. Is that what you want? To guilt her into staying? The question made him hesitate. Victoria saw it and smiled. You're thinking about it, she said. Good. That means you actually care about her. So let me ask you this. What's best for Evelyn? Being with someone who challenges her, who matches her, who can give her the life she deserves? Or being with someone who makes her feel good temporarily, but limits her future? You don't know anything about what's best for her. I know she's already making sacrifices. Skipping business meetings to have pizza with your daughter, turning down opportunities because she's worried about your feelings. That's not love, Mr. Bennett. That's obligation. And eventually, obligation becomes resentment. Noah wanted to argue, wanted to tell her she was wrong, that what he and Evelyn had was real and worth fighting for. But doubt crept in anyway, insidious and familiar. You're in over your head, Victoria continued, her voice almost gentle now. And somewhere deep down, you know it. So take the money, walk away clean, let my daughter find someone worthy of her. I'm leaving, Noah said, and when I tell Evelyn about this, she's going to see exactly who you are. She already knows who I am, a mother who wants what's best for her child. But go ahead, tell her, see how that works out for you. Noah walked out of the restaurant without looking back, his hands shaking so badly he had to stop in the lobby to steady himself. He stood there among the marble and crystal, feeling exactly as small as Victoria Sinclair had intended. His phone buzzed. Evelyn, how's your day going? He stared at the message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. Then he typed, Fine. Busy at the shop. Talk later? Sure, love you. The words stopped him cold. She'd never said that before. Not out loud, not in text. And he was standing in a hotel lobby lying to her after her mother had just offered him $200,000 to disappear. He didn't respond. Just shoved the phone in his pocket and walked out to his truck. Bam. The drive back to the shop was a blur. Noah's mind kept replaying the conversation, Victoria's words mixing with his own fears until he couldn't tell which thoughts were hers and which were his. She's already making sacrifices. That was true, wasn't it? Evelyn had skipped at least 2 business dinners he knew about to spend time with him and Mia. Obligation becomes resentment. Also potentially true. How long before she got tired of his financial problems, his limited world, his inability to give her anything close to what she deserved? Marcus was in the bay working on a brake job when Noah walked in. Boss, you okay? You look like you saw a ghost. I'm fine. Just long day. It's 2:30. Long afternoon then. Noah tried to focus on work, but his hands wouldn't cooperate. He dropped a socket wrench twice, cross-threaded a bolt, and nearly put his hand through a fan blade that was still spinning. Okay, seriously, Marcus said, watching this unfold. What's going on? Nothing. That's bull and we both know it. Is this about Evelyn? Why would you think that? Because you've been walking around like you won the lottery for the past 3 weeks, and now you look like someone died. So either something happened with her, or you're having a very specific breakdown. Noah set down the wrench before he hurt himself. Her mother showed up, offered me money to leave Evelyn alone. Marcus whistled low. Damn, how much? Does it matter? Kind of, yeah. Like, if she offered you $50, that's insulting. If she offered you $1 million, that's $200,000. Holy shit. Yeah. And you said no, right? Noah didn't answer immediately. Boss, please tell me you said no. I said no, but she said things that got in my head about how I'm holding Evelyn back, about how this won't last because we're too different. Marcus pulled up a rolling stool and sat down. Okay, real talk time. Can I be honest with you? When are you not honest with me? Fair point. Here's the thing. Rich people are weird about other rich people. They think money is the only thing that matters because it's the only thing they've ever had to worry about. But that woman doesn't know Evelyn like you do.
She doesn't see how she lights up when she talks about you. She doesn't know that Evelyn came by the shop last Tuesday just to bring you lunch and didn't even stay because she knew you were busy. She did that? Yeah, you were under that Tahoe and didn't even see her. She left the food with me and made me promise not to tell you because she didn't want you to feel obligated to eat with her. Marcus leaned forward. That's not a woman who's settling, boss. That's a woman who's all in. But what if her mother's right? What if I am holding her back? Then that's Evelyn's decision to make, not yours. You don't get to decide for her what's best. That's the same controlling crap her mother's pulling. The truth of it hit Noah like cold water. He'd been so busy protecting himself from getting hurt that he hadn't considered he might be taking away Evelyn's choice in the process. His phone rang. Evelyn. I have to take this, Noah said. He walked outside before answering. Hey. Hey yourself. You sounded weird in your text earlier. Everything okay? Yeah, He stopped. Lying wasn't working. Lying was just making everything worse. Can we talk? Tonight? After Mia goes to bed? You're scaring me, Noah. What happened? Your mother happened. Silence on the other end. Then, what did she do? I'll tell you tonight. I promise. I need to see you in person for this. I'm coming to the shop right now. Evelyn, I'm already in my car. I'll be there in 15 minutes. She hung up. Noah stood in the parking lot watching traffic go by, trying to figure out how to explain what had happened without sounding like either a victim or an idiot. Evelyn's Mercedes pulled in 12 minutes later. She got out wearing a business suit and an expression Noah had never seen before, cold fury barely contained. Tell me exactly what she said to you, Evelyn said without preamble. So he did. All of it. The meeting at the Belmont, the assessment of his financial situation, the offer of money, Victoria's certainty that their relationship was a mistake. He didn't sugarcoat it or try to make himself look better, just laid out the facts and waited for her reaction. When he finished, Evelyn was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone and dialed. Mother, she said when someone answered. We need to talk. Now. Pause. I don't care if you're busy. You just offered my boyfriend $200,000 to leave me. I think your manicure can wait. Another pause. I'm not coming to you. You're coming to me. Noah's Auto Repair, East Side. You've clearly already looked up the address since you know so much about his business. She hung up without waiting for a response. Evelyn, you don't have to. Yes, I do. She doesn't get to do this. She doesn't get to interfere in my life and treat you like you're something she can buy off. Evelyn was pacing now, her heels clicking on the pavement. I am so tired of her thinking she knows what's best for me. I'm 30 years old. I've built my own fortune. I don't need her approval or her money or her opinion on who I date. She thinks I'm holding you back. She thinks everyone who isn't exactly like her is holding me back. She thought the same thing about my first boyfriend who went to Harvard and my second boyfriend who ran a hedge fund. It's not about you, Noah. It's about control. A black town car pulled into the parking lot 20 minutes later. Victoria Sinclair emerged looking completely unruffled, like being summoned to an auto repair shop was a normal Tuesday afternoon activity. Evelyn, she said, this is unnecessary. Offering my boyfriend money to leave me is what's unnecessary, Mother. I was protecting you. Oh, you were protecting yourself from the possibility that I might be happy with someone you didn't choose for me. Evelyn stepped closer to her mother, her voice dropping. Do you want to know why I've been on 17 first dates this year? Because not one of those men saw me as a person. They saw Evelyn Sinclair, billionaire. They wanted access to my money, my connections, my network. They performed interest in who I was because that's what you taught them successful people do. That's not fair. Noah pulled over in a rainstorm to fix my car and didn't charge me. He didn't know who I was, didn't care. He just helped because that's who he is. Evelyn's voice was shaking now. And for the first time in my adult life, I met someone who wanted me for me, not my bank account, not my business contacts, just me. And you're standing here trying to ruin that because it doesn't fit your definition of what my life should look like. Victoria glanced at Noah, then back at her daughter. He's not right for you. Why? Because he's not wealthy? Because he works with his hands? Because he has a daughter and responsibilities? Because he can't give you the life you deserve? I already have the life I deserve, Mother. I built it myself. What I didn't have was someone to share it with, someone real, someone who sees me making pizza with his daughter and doesn't think it's beneath me, someone who lets me be ordinary for a few hours instead of performing success all the time. You're making a mistake. Maybe I am, but it's my mistake to make. Evelyn took Noah's hand. And honestly, even if this doesn't work out, even if Noah and I crash and burn spectacularly, it'll still be worth it. Because for once in my life, I chose something that made me happy instead of something that made sense on paper. Victoria looked at their joined hands, her expression unreadable. I raised you to be smarter than this. You raised me to be successful. And I am. But you never taught me how to be happy. I had to figure that out on my own. The silence that followed was heavy enough to feel. Victoria stood there perfectly composed, while her daughter stared her down with the same steel that had built empires. If you're waiting for my blessing, you won't get it, Victoria said finally. I don't need your blessing. I need you to respect my choices. And if you can't do that, then we have a bigger problem than who I'm dating. Victoria turned to Noah. Do you love her? The question caught him off guard. Yes. Enough to let her go if it's what's best for her? Enough to let her decide what's best for herself. Something flickered in Victoria's expression. Maybe respect, maybe annoyance. Hard to tell. You're either very wise or very stupid. I haven't decided which. Probably both, Noah admitted. Victoria almost smiled. Almost. Then she turned back to Evelyn. Don't come crying to me when this falls apart. I wouldn't dream of it. Victoria got back in her town car and left without another word. When the car disappeared around the corner, Evelyn let out a breath that sounded like she'd been holding it for hours. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry she did that to you. You don't have to apologize for her. Yes, I do. She's my mother, and she was completely out of line. Noah pulled Evelyn into a hug, feeling her shake slightly against him. Are you okay? No, but I will be. She pulled back, looking up at him. Did you mean it? What you said about loving me? Yeah, I did. I meant it too. When I texted you earlier, I know it was just words on a screen, but I meant them. I know. They stood there as the parking lot of Noah's failing garage, holding each other while Marcus pretended very hard not to watch from inside the bay. So what happens now? Noah asked. Now we figure it out. Together. One day at a time. Your mother's never going to approve of this. Probably not, but I stopped needing her approval around the same time I made my first $1,000,000. Evelyn kissed him softly. I need to get back to work, but tonight I'm coming over, and we're telling Mia everything. About us, about where this is going, about the fact that I'm not going anywhere. She's going to freak out. Good freak out or bad freak out? Definitely good. She's been asking when you're moving in since week 2. Evelyn laughed. One step at a time, but soon. Sooner than you think. Sets. That evening, after pizza and entirely too much discussion about whether dolphins or sharks were cooler, Noah and Evelyn sat Mia down on the couch. We need to talk to you about something, Noah said. Mia's eyes went wide. Are you getting married? No, well, not yet. I mean, Noah looked at Evelyn helplessly. What your dad means, Evelyn said, taking over smoothly, is that we're together, like officially together, and we wanted to make sure you were okay with that. Of course I'm okay with it. I told Dad you should keep you like 3 weeks ago. Right. But this is more serious now. It means Evelyn's going to be around a lot more. It means we're a family, kind of. Good. We need more people. Families are better when they're bigger. Mia paused, then looked at Evelyn seriously. Are you going to leave, like my mom did? The question hung in the air. Evelyn got down on her knees so she was eye level with Mia. I can't promise that nothing will ever go wrong, Evelyn said carefully. Life doesn't work that way. But I can promise that I'm here because I want to be. Not because I have to be, not because anyone's making me. I'm here because I love your dad, and I think you're pretty great too. Do you love me? Yeah, kiddo, I really do. Mia hugged her, just launched herself forward and wrapped her arms around Evelyn's neck in a way that made Noah's eyes sting. Okay, good, Mia said, pulling back, because I love you too. Can we get ice cream now? They got ice cream. They watched another movie. And when Mia finally fell asleep on the couch between them, Noah carried her to bed while Evelyn cleaned up the living room. This is what normal looks like, Evelyn said when he came back. Yeah? Yeah, and I know I'm supposed to want more. Excitement, adventure, whatever. But this, she gestured around the small, cluttered living room. This is what I've been looking for my whole life without knowing it. Noah sat next to her, pulling her close. Your mother thinks you're settling. My mother thinks anything less than constant achievement is settling, but she's wrong. This isn't settling, this is choosing. Evelyn turned to face him. I chose you, Noah. Not despite your situation, not to rebel against her, not because I'm trying to fix you. I chose you because when I'm with you, I remember who I wanted to be before I became who I thought I had to be. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. Good, because I'm about to say something even more romantic.
Okay. I want to invest in your shop. Noah pulled back. What? Not as charity, as a business investment. You're good at what you do, Noah. The problem isn't your skill, it's your infrastructure. You need better equipment, better marketing, maybe another employee. I want to help with that, as a silent partner who takes a percentage of profits. Evelyn, before you say no, hear me out. I've looked at your books. You've what? You left them on your desk last week when I came by. I may have glanced at them, professionally speaking. She had the grace to look slightly guilty. You're actually turning a profit on most jobs. You're just barely scraping by because your overhead is too high and you're undercharging for your expertise. With some restructuring and capital investment, this place could be really successful. Or it could fail and you'd lose your money. That's the risk with any investment. But I believe in you, not just as my boyfriend, as a business owner who knows his craft and cares about his customers. Noah wanted to say no, wanted to protect his pride, prove he could do it alone. But he was tired of struggling, tired of pretending he didn't need help, tired of choosing his ego over practical solutions. Okay, he said. Okay? Yeah, okay, but I want a real contract, market rate terms. No special treatment because we're dating. Deal. I'll have Richard draw something up. They shook on it, which turned into a kiss, which turned into several more kisses until they were interrupted by Mia calling out from her bedroom. Dad, I had a bad dream. Noah went to her, sitting on the edge of her bed while she described a nightmare involving sharks that could walk on land. He stayed until she fell back asleep, then returned to find Evelyn still on the couch, looking at something on her phone. Everything okay? He asked. My mother texted, said we should have lunch next week to discuss things civilly. You going to go? Probably. She's still my mother, even when she's being impossible. Evelyn set her phone down. But I'm setting boundaries, no more interference, no more trying to control my life. If she can't accept that, we'll have a very distant relationship. That's hard. Yeah, but necessary. She stood, stretching. I should head home. Early meeting tomorrow. Noah walked her to the door, reluctant to let the evening end. Thank you for standing up to her, for choosing this, for everything. Thank you for letting me choose, for not making the decision for me. She kissed him one more time. I'll call you tomorrow. After she left, Noah locked up and went back to the couch, lying there in the dark, thinking about everything that had changed in 6 weeks. He'd gone from a man convinced he'd be alone forever to someone building a future with a woman who saw past his failures to the person underneath. His phone buzzed. Evelyn. I meant what I said earlier, I love you. He typed back, I love you too, so much it scares me. Good scared or bad scared? Good scared. The kind that means something actually matters. Then we're doing it right. Noah fell asleep on the couch with his phone in his hand, a small smile on his face, and for the first time in 8 years, no fear about what tomorrow would bring. Mosig. 3 months later, Noah's Auto Repair had a new sign that actually said the full name, 2 additional bays, and a second full-time employee. The restructuring Evelyn had funded was paying off. They were booked solid most weeks, and Noah had finally raised his prices to match his expertise. Mia's 9th birthday party was held at the shop on a Saturday afternoon, which should have been weird, but somehow wasn't. 20 kids ran around while Marcus supervised a build-your-own race car station using cardboard and duct tape. Evelyn helped Noah manage the chaos, looking completely at home in jeans and an old t-shirt that had engine grease on it from helping him with a repair that morning. This is insane, Noah said, watching a kid try to climb the hydraulic lift. This is perfect, Evelyn corrected, pulling the kid down before he hurt himself.
Jennifer appeared carrying a cake shaped like a jellyfish. Where's the birthday girl? Probably in the office explaining torque wrenches to anyone who'll listen. They sang happy birthday. Mia blew out the candles and wished for a trip to the ocean to see real jellyfish. Evelyn caught Noah's eye and smiled in a way that suggested she'd already looked into making that wish come true. After the kids left and the mess was cleaned up, the three of them sat in the garage bay while the sun set through the open door. Best birthday ever, Mia announced. Can we do it here every year? We'll see, Noah said. That means yes. Adults say, we'll see when they mean yes, but don't want to commit. Where do you learn this stuff? I pay attention. Mia leaned against Evelyn. Are you staying over tonight? If it's okay with your dad. It's always okay with me, Noah said. Later, after Mia was asleep, Noah and Evelyn sat on the porch steps of the house he was finally starting to think of as home instead of just a rental. I have something for you, Evelyn said, pulling a small box from her pocket. Noah's heart jumped. Evelyn, it's not a ring. Relax. She opened the box to reveal a key. It's to my apartment. I want you to have it, you and Mia both. That's a big step. I know, but I'm ready for it if you are. Noah took the key, feeling the weight of what it represented. Trust. Commitment. A future that was starting to feel real instead of theoretical. There's something I need to tell you, he said. Okay. I'm still scared, every day. I'm scared I'm going to mess this up, that I'm not enough, that you're going to wake up and realize you could do better. Noah, but I'm more scared of not trying, of protecting myself so hard that I miss out on this. On us. He looked at her, this woman who'd walked into his life during a rainstorm and refused to leave even when leaving would have been easier. So yeah, I'll take the key, and I'll probably freak out about it later, but I'll take it. Evelyn kissed him, soft and slow. We're both scared. We're both going to mess up, but we're doing it together, which makes it less terrifying. Does it? Not really, but it sounds good. They sat there on the porch steps, watching the neighborhood settle into evening, both of them thinking about the future and all the ways it could go right or wrong. Noah's phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. Just locked up the shop. See you Monday. Also, you're welcome for making that party not a disaster. He showed Evelyn, who laughed. He's got a point. We would have been screwed without him. Yeah, I should probably give him a raise. You should definitely give him a raise. Good employees are hard to find. Speaking of which, when do I get to meet your employees, see your office, actually understand what you do all day? Whenever you want. Fair warning, it's mostly boring meetings and spreadsheets, not nearly as interesting as fixing cars. I'll take boring meetings over transmission fluid on my hands any day. Liar, you love getting your hands dirty. I've seen you rebuild that carburetor. That was one time. It was 3 times. And you had this look on your face like you'd discovered something amazing. Noah pulled her closer, resting his chin on top of her head. You know what's actually amazing? What? This. Right here, the fact that I get to have this. They sat in comfortable silence, watching stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. Inside the house, Mia was asleep dreaming of jellyfish and birthday parties. At the shop, new equipment waited for Monday morning. In Evelyn's apartment downtown, a space was clearing for Noah and Mia to fill. It wasn't perfect. The house still needed repairs. The shop was still building its reputation. Evelyn's mother still didn't approve, probably never would. Noah still had bad days where the fear crept back in, whispering that this was too good to last. But somewhere between the rainstorm and this porch step, between fixing a stranger's car and falling in love with the woman it belonged to, Noah had learned something his ex-wife's words had tried to convince him wasn't true. He was enough, not because he had money or status or a perfect life, but because he was here, doing the work, choosing to stay even when staying was hard, because he'd raised a daughter who knew she was loved even when times were tight, because he'd built something with his own hands, a business, a life, a family, and refused to apologize for the fact that it looked different than what other people expected. Evelyn had learned something too, that success measured in dollars was hollow without someone to share it with, that making a home with someone wasn't settling, it was choosing, that sometimes the best investment wasn't the one that made the most sense on paper, but the one that made you remember why you worked so hard in the first place. What are you thinking? Noah asked. That I'm glad my car broke down. Yeah? Yeah, best mechanical failure of my life. I'll make sure to leave your battery terminal loose periodically. Keep things interesting. Don't you dare. I have meetings to get to. Meetings you'll be late to because you're too busy hanging out in my garage. Our garage. I'm a partner now, remember? Right. Our garage. Our life. Our future. Evelyn tilted her head up to kiss him. Our imperfect, complicated, absolutely perfect future. The rain started again, light and soft. The same kind of rain that had brought them together. They went inside, shutting the door against the weather, stepping into warmth and light, and the sound of Mia breathing softly in the next room. And Noah Bennett, 32 years old and finally learning to believe he deserved good things, allowed himself to be happy. Not perfectly, not without fear, but genuinely, completely, real. Because that's what home was, in the end. Not a place without problems, not a life without struggle. Just people who chose to stay when things got hard, who showed up in rainstorms, who saw your worst and decided it was worth weathering anyway. That was the kind of home worth building, the kind worth believing in, the kind that lasted.